What's going on, Lions fans? Welcome to the Pride of Detroit PODcast, your home for all the latest and greatest Lions news, updates, analysis, and so much more. I'm your host, Miko. You can find me over at Twitter at the Miko Scott, and this is your go-to place for all things Lions related. Uh, in today's podcast, we are going to be talking a lot about free agency, previewing what the Lions need to do, who they possibly need to target and resign. But before we get into all of that, we're also going to introduce my amazing two co-hosts. First and foremost, we have your senior editor over at prideofdetroit.com, Ryan Matthews at Ryan_POD. Ryan, how are you doing on this fabulous Sunday?
I mean, it's so nice outside, and I can't wait for Michigan to pull the rug out from underneath us. It's going to be awesome.
I love the fact that you're still rocking the beanie, like you're not allowing this nice weather to fool you, even though it's supposed to be nice for like at least the next few days. Next weekend is a whole different story, but by that point in time, we'll be deep into free agency and we can deal with those things in the same way that we'll deal with free agency, right, Jeremy?
Yeah, I love that it's going to be great weather for the next few days while I'm just attached to my laptop waiting for news to happen. Really excited about that.
I mean, maybe everyone will, take that time to get outside, enjoy the weather, and not be glued to their phones and try to figure out what the Lions are doing. Again, that is also the voice of our editor-in-chief over at prideofdetroit.com, Jeremy Reisman at Detroit Online over on Twitter. Guys, there's a lot that's already happened. There's a lot that's going to happen probably within the next 24 hours. Whether it's going to be related to the Lions or not, TBD. We'll see come tomorrow with the Lions how soon they decide to actually be active in free agency. But the first thing that we definitely have to talk about before we start previewing what the Lions could or should do, we have to talk about the news that broke pretty late or mid-afternoon on Friday with Taylor Decker requesting his release from the Lions. This is a bit of news that definitely caught a lot of us by surprise because it was only maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago where Taylor Decker made the announcement that hey, he's coming back for his 11th season. We have now kind of made it an about face to where he is now seeking his release. Jeremy, what was your initial thoughts and how do you what is the overall ramifications that this is going to have on the Lions as they kind of approach free agency?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big deal. I remember when Decker announced he was coming back, and there was a subset of fans that were kind of upset about it, right? And we may have mocked them a little bit, but I guess the Lions were a little bit more on their side of well, it's great that you're coming back, but we ain't paying $21 million in cap space for you. And I can see their point. I don't really agree with it, but, given everything Decker has gone through in the past couple of years with his injury, I understand why it might have been hard to trust that. I understand why that may have made it seem like $21 million was too much for a left tackle on his last legs. But man, for me, one less hole to fill is maybe worth the extra $11 million that you're spending because you're only getting you're only saving $11 million if you decide to release him at that point. Then you need to go out and find a starting left tackle. Then you need to go out and build this offensive line all over again and get yourself like a hard-nosed leader type on that offensive line to go with Penei Sewell. And so I get why the Lions did what they did in approaching Taylor Decker for a pay cut, as Dave Burkett is reporting. I don't know where things go here. I imagine the Lions will grant his request at some point. They could try to fish a trade out of this and get a late round pick, but how many people are willing to pay? I'm trying to remember what his contract was. It's something like $15 million salary plus a couple extra incentives. How many are going to be willing to pay for that for a 32-year-old who's coming off of shoulder issues that haven't gone away, that's thinking about retirement? It's probably not a huge market there. So I find this adding to the Lions' problems, even though they do get $11 million in cap space. Cap space to me was, I don't want to say it's not a worry, but the Lions can make as much cap space as they want. So to me, the player was a little bit more valuable here than the cap space. So it's a bummer. And you certainly don't like seeing a veteran who spent his entire career here have his career end with a request from the team. That's not a great look.
Yeah, Ryan, I would say this is one of those where it's kind of easy to see both sides of this, argument, right? It's easy to understand Taylor Decker's side of things. It's also fairly easy to understand why the Lions would ask him to take a pay cut. But where did you kind of land when this news kind of broke?
Well, I mean, it kind of bookended an awful week to be a Lions fan, I think, right? Like you had the David Montgomery news, and then you have the Taylor Decker news, and it was just all bad news, I think, primarily for the reason that Jeremy highlighted. It's just more holes to fill. There are more players that need to be added to this team, and there's only so much they have to divvy up when it comes to either money in free agency because they keep on talking about having to take care of their own guys in-house. They only have so many draft picks, just 2 in the top 100. So I think losing Taylor Decker, I understand the subset of fans that looked at it from the perspective of he's a guy who needs to be under maintenance from week to week. You're not sure if you're going to get a guy who's ever at 100% once you get, a few weeks into the season because of the shape that his body was in. I think the thing that's most frustrating about it, though, is I'm trying to parse through what the vibes are with the team right now. I'm trying to see the light at the end of the tunnel because a lot of feelings losing David Montgomery, especially a guy who was a veteran on that team, well-respected. You trade him. Taylor Decker doesn't want to play for less. And here's the thing. I also understand Taylor Decker's perspective. Like, that guy is a guy who clearly at the end of the season said, I have a lot of things to consider. If he ultimately considered, he can continue to play football, I'm sure he's going to do it for the value that he thinks it's worth. Like, he's not going to put his body through hell for nothing. So, like, I understand both sides. Like, I understand the Lions' perspective. I understand Decker's perspective. But I even joked in our Slack, like, the announcement that, Taylor Decker was returning and it's him coming out of the tunnel. I'm like, careful, because we just saw Frank Ragnow run back down that same tunnel the opposite direction. And it happened. And I still found it shocking, though. Like, I was joking when I said that for the most part, but I found it pretty shocking that the Lions said, we would rather take the cap space and we would rather go offensive tackle hunting. Like, that's a huge, and again, we've talked about this time and time again. The Lions have been spoiled with their tackle play for the better part of 5-6 seasons, right? Like, having Penei Sewell, having Taylor Decker. This is uncharted territory, and it's I don't know, Miko. There's a lot of holes in the boat right now. And I don't know. I don't feel great about the Lions being able to plug all these.
The thing that I think is interesting, though, about this, like, developing this way, and Jeremy, you kind of pointed it out as well, is like when Taylor Decker announced that he was coming back, you had that subset of fans that were upset, that were just like, no, we need the cap space. I feel like this was always the way that it could have potentially went, though. Like, I think as surprising as it is, though, right? Like, I think it just kind of more so goes to show the Lions probably had more of their chips in on, like, oh, he's probably going to retire. And if he retires, this is the plan. But the backup plan, I think, always would have been, even if Taylor Decker came back like he said he was, Taylor Decker was like option number one, or like the number one player that we were talking about in terms of like, hey, if the Lions start having to ask guys to take pay cuts or have to redo their contracts, Taylor Decker is first on that list. And so, like, there's an element of it for me that's not surprising. And there's an element of me that, again, it's putting a lot of faith without really seeing how this is going to develop yet, Jeremy, but this has to be part of the plan. Like, the Lions can't be necessarily, it's not something that I feel like they're being caught off guard by, because this always felt like it had to be the outcome one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, well, and Dan Campbell said as much, hours before Taylor Decker announced. He's like, hey, no matter what his decision is, we still need to shore up the tackle position. We still need to make sure we have a guy there that we can trust that can either, start or, fill in if necessary. The sketchy part to me, the fishy part to me, is that in Decker's announcement, he said, some of these conversations that we had were a surprise to me. And so if you're the Lions, you have your exit interview with Taylor Decker, and you're like, well, we want this to go one of two ways. Either he returns on a pay cut or he retires. Those are the two things we want. How was that not made clear to him in the exit interview? How, when you're like pressuring the guy, like, hey, we need a decision by free agency, how do you not tell him then, if you decide to come back, we need more conversations after that? That's the part where I'm like, and I think that something didn't line up right here.
I think that's probably the biggest testament, though, Ryan, that like that conversation didn't happen. And it's probably the bad part of giving a player like all the time they need, right? When Brad and Dan are both like, oh no, Taylor Decker has earned the right to have as much time as he needs to think about this. It kind of is like you're showing your hand by Taylor Decker coming out and saying that, like, hey, some of these conversations surprised me. You guys didn't even bother to have the conversation with him about, like, hey, if you come back, we needed to come back. We need you to come back at a lower price tag.
Yeah, I want to hear the Lions' perspective of this too, though. I want to hear the Lions side of the story, because so far we've gotten Taylor Decker's side of the story that Jeremy noted it was a surprise to him. Mm-hmm. I think is there anything else that we can add about Taylor Decker? Or because I want to talk about kind of like the offensive line as a whole kind of thing, and then the tackle position.
Yeah, I think the only thing I was going to highlight as well before we kind of transition to talking about offensive line is that, like, as much as we're talking about, like, especially now, like, while there seems to be some sort of miscommunication, or Taylor Decker has his version and the Lions have their version, I think it's important to highlight that even in his post, he did at least point to, like, hey, this is an amicable split. This isn't like there's no animosity between both sides, which again goes back to the point that I made earlier, where it's like, I think both sides understand each other. The Lions understand why Taylor Decker wants to still have his price tag. And I think Taylor Decker understands why the Lions feel like they need to get cheaper at that position. And it just so happens that, like, hey, we can't agree. So the best way to, like, proceed forward is to just, like, hey, just release me.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's very David Montgomery-esque, right? Where it's just like both sides understand each other. David was obviously very complimentary of the city and the organization. And so, it's nice to save face there, but it's also a little bit frustrating at the same time that, one, you couldn't convince David Montgomery that it was worth staying, and it wasn't clearly communicated properly to Taylor Decker what the Lions were thinking about the situation. So, I don't want to give them full credit, but at the same time, this isn't like ugly divorce. This isn't like the Lions culture has blown up in their face. Like, I don't think it's any of that.
Yeah,
sure.
And I think it's important to note, like, about the surprise thing. Right? Like, what was Taylor Decker specifically surprised about? Was he surprised because, like you said, Jeremy, maybe that wasn't part of his exit interview, or was he so surprised to see how much of a pay cut that the Lions wanted him to take, right? Like, in terms of restructuring it, were you going to put a lot of incentives for per game bonuses that you're on the field? And maybe Taylor Decker feels like, hey, I know I can't play enough to, like, truly make enough money that I feel like I should be making if I'm doing this instead of all the things that he talked about at the end of the season.
Yeah, 100%. But like you said, Ryan, like, I think this does segue very well into a lot of the issues that the Lions are going to have to address when it comes down to the offensive line heading into free agency. So I want to kind of ask this question this way, is just like, how do you believe, and I'll start with you, Ryan, how do you believe the team should address free agency? Or is the issues that the offensive line are currently having, is this more of a draft problem that you just try to fix?
The offensive line is the carnival of uncertainty. I don't know who's playing center. I don't know if Penei Sewell is going to play left tackle. Do you want Penei Sewell to play left tackle? He's an awesome right tackle. Do you want another? It feels very Tate Ratledge to me, in a sense, right? Like, you assume that Penei can do it. And I think that all of us assume that he can. I always come back to the Josh Sitton quote about, like, it's trying to wipe your ass with your opposite hand, right? So there'd have to be like a whole off season of getting comfortable back over there. He's done it for so long on the right side. With Ratledge, is he playing guard? Is he playing center? What I think, Jeremy, at the onset of free agency, what will be most telling is seeing what they prioritize. Like, is it going to be a center? Or if it's a guard, you really do truly get the sense that they're going to be moving Tate Ratledge to center. Like, if they make a move in free agency for a guard, Tate Ratledge is making the move. If they make the move to go get a tackle, Jeremy, that's, I think, our biggest concern and our worry is going into the draft with glaring needs, right? Like, going into a draft, needing to draft a specific position.
Yeah.
That leaves you with an opportunity to have your pants around your ankles.
Right. And I think if we want to start at tackle here, because, I mean, we're just talking about Decker, you aren't going to get better than Taylor Decker in free agency at a cheaper price with the $11 million that you're saving. So no. I think whatever solution you're getting at tackle is a Band-Aid. And I think you have to have that Band-Aid because of everything you just said. You have to be able to go into the draft being able to, okay, our tackle isn't there, we're not going to draft a tackle this year. That said, like, even those options to me are not great, right? Like, we're talking about either guys that are cheap because they're guys that can, are backups, they're swing tackles, but not starters, or you're going like the Jack Conklin route of, like, tremendous player, but he had 2 concussions last year and he's had 2 knee surgeries. And Or the Cardinals guy that we were talking about a couple weeks ago. What's his
Jonah
name?
Williams.
Jonah Williams. Like, he can start, and he's probably going to be okay for you, but can you trust him for 17 games? The answer is probably no. And if your answer is no to that, then you still have to draft a tackle. Like, you still have, and that's kind of where I think we're at. This is why I didn't really want to lose Taylor Decker, is because you could kick tackle down the need road another year if Taylor Decker was on the roster. Now I think they're in the position where they have to add one in free agency and they have to add one in the draft, and that's not a good place to be.
That was the thing we talked about, Miko, is that the Taylor Decker news, when he announced he was going to play another season, it didn't change the calculus when it came to the Lions' approach at tackle in this offseason. Another name, right? Like, what was most interesting on Thursday, Miko, was the Jedrick Wills visit, right? That's before the Taylor Decker information comes to light. Again, another guy who first-round draft pick, has struggled with injuries, didn't play last season. So prepare people for that kind of bargain bin shopping, I think, at offensive tackle, but just so you don't go into the draft, again, without a plan.
Yeah, and I agree with you both in regards to, like, by choosing to let Taylor Decker go, you have now put yourself in a situation where, whether it's free agency or the draft, like, tackle is high on your list. And
it's
Jeremy, to your
to
point, it agreed, right? It probably,
How high?
To me as well.
How high? Because
How high?
are you willing to trade up to get your guy? And do you think Brad Holmes would do something like that? And would he be vindicated?
I think so, right? Like, especially if you are able, again, now we're getting into, like, theory crafting in terms of, like, what the Lions could do in free agency. But if you go out there and let's say you sign a guy like Elijah Vera Tucker, right? A guy that has some guard tackle flexibility, could maybe challenge for a tackle spot, but isn't like a lock. You can still technically go into the draft and have the option of either staying pat at 17, seeing which tackle falls to you, or Brad can get super aggressive and be like, hey, I'm going to try to jump into the, 11, 12, maybe try to jump into the top 10 to make sure I get the tackle I want. But at this point in time, if we're all in agreement that, like, that's the number one need right now, it can't be seen as a risky gamble when it's like, do you want to risk the likelihood that, like, hey, Spencer Fano is gone, Monroe Freeling is gone, maybe other people really like Blake Miller too, and you're stuck with, like, Caleb Lomu and you don't really love Caleb Lomu? Like, if you start reading the tea leaves based off what Brad has said in the past, I don't know if there's a situation, Jeremy, where they're going to be, like, passive when it comes to addressing tackle in the draft, because I don't think they're going to spend big on it in free agency.
Well, I'm not on board with that either, to be honest. Like, this team has too many needs to, like, start throwing away day 2 picks to move up. This is not a good position to be in. And so I don't know. They're going to have to find a free agent piece that they like well enough to be comfortable sitting and waiting at 17, because I don't think it's smart to trade up either when you need a center, when you need a defensive end, when you need a linebacker, when you need maybe a starting corner, maybe a starting safety. Like, this is a team already bereft of ammo this offseason, and to now pigeonhole yourself into a position where you have to go get a tackle is not good.
But I feel like it's in a weird way, though. Like, I guess let me ask it this way then. How big is the gap of needing a tackle, left or right, versus all the other positions that you just named? Because I feel like it's a sizable gap, in my opinion. Like, yes, all of those other positions are needs, but I do think there's a handful of them where, like, if we were talking about when Taylor Decker was here, you can kind of kick the can down the road. I think there were other positions that you could address in free agency that would allow you that same luxury to kick the can down the road. So where it's like, well, hey, we can't get this position maybe in next year's second round because we're going to give up that pick to jump up, but, like, we'll be fine because we're just going to kick that can down the road a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, to some end, they're going to have to do that anyways, right? Like, they don't have enough free agency resources to sign starting level talent at every single position. There is going to be a kicking the can of some sort of need down. So yeah, like, tackle is probably number one in terms of priority. Probably whatever other offensive line position might be 2. Edge is probably 3, if not 2. Linebacker, probably, I don't know. You could get by with playing more nickel, but if that's the case, then corner's higher on the list. So, I mean, to your point, yes, but that, to me, still should be more of your free agent strategy than your draft strategy. You should make tackle your number one, maybe not number one, but your high priority in free agency. In the draft, there just needs to be more flexibility. Otherwise, you're going to reach, or otherwise you're going to overspend.
See, Ryan, this is where I feel like tackle can be the number one priority come the draft, because I just think that there's a likelihood, like there's a better crop of young talent there where I don't feel the same way about free agency. I would rather them, like, either it's Tate Ratledge or you try to go all in as much as you can to get Tyler Linderbaum. And I know that seems like a pipe dream because I think he's going to command a huge market from a number of teams. But at this point in time, because of the position you've put yourself in, like, I think Brad has to kind of push all his chips into the center of the table to land that center, to make sure that that's also not a need come draft time.
It's an awful lot of your resources dedicated to just getting the offensive line back in a position that you would feel comfortable being in front of Jared Goff and making room for Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, I mean, think about that. You're spending probably all your big bucks on Linderbaum to be your center, and then you're investing heavily, maybe trading an extra pick to move up and get the tackle that you really like, that is your guy. I mean, those are two huge investments that you're making just to get that offensive line back into a spot where you feel comfortable with it. And that's ignoring so many of the needs that are on defense. And that was really ostensibly, like, that was the Achilles heel of this football team. And it's been that way for the past couple of seasons. So I think to pour all of your resources into just getting that unit back up and running, you're not doing yourself a great service by ignoring your defense that has all those question marks that Jeremy listed. So I do think one name that is interesting to consider when it comes to the tackle calculus, and again, it's much of the Tate Ratledge making a move, but maybe Miles Frazier. Like, I'm not saying that you can throw all your hope behind him, but maybe there's a potential that he could play some tackle. You can see what that looks like in training camp. Obviously, you can't wait and not address anything, but like maybe that's a name that they like or that they consider, capable of making that kind of move. So again, it'll be telling to see how aggressive they are when it comes to tackle. The one name we haven't mentioned is Gio. How does Gio fit into all of this? We have no idea.
We know.
We know he can't be a starter.
The fact that we haven't brought up his name tells us what we know.
I think,
but do they view him as being a backup level guy? So like,
right.
do they get a stopgap, a Jack Conklin, right? A veteran guy. We're going to let Gio develop some more. Maybe you don't have to be uber aggressive and take a guy at 17. Cause I feel like we're kind of talking like a week ago it was, the Lions could go best player available. Now it's, they have to draft an offensive tackle. If they don't draft an offensive tackle, what a disaster that would be, right? Like if they sign a veteran stopgap, they could just have this conversation a year later.
Right. But my issue is I don't think there's that option there that they can trust.
Right.
I don't know who that free agent guy is that they can trust to either be healthy or good enough to start. Unless they throw the bag at, who are the top guys out there? Havenstein, is he even playing this year? Rasheed Walker.
But even then, like with
they're not going to throw the bag.
Decker's debt, with Decker's dead cap plus whatever you'd have to pay them, you'd be paying through the nose for your tackle position.
That's what I'm saying though. Yeah. Like the Lions need a stopgap, just like in case disaster happens and they don't find a draft thing. But at the same time, it's still going to be extremely high on their draft needs. Like, almost essential.
Can I ask a question though? Like, since when did it become like a bad thing to have like an obvious need? Because like I feel like this is something that we maybe just have gotten spoiled with the last couple drafts where we haven't, like the Lions haven't had a glaring need, but it's not like when Brad took over back in 2021, like you had glaring needs then and they picked the best player at the position that they also needed when they picked Penei Sewell. They did the same thing when it was Aiden Hutchinson, where it was like, hey, we have a glaring need at edge. And it just so happens that the best edge that we're going to be able to get is like going to be there at 2. Like, I feel like we've also talked ourselves into this situation where it's like, man, the Lions have this glaring need at tackle, and that's such a bad thing. And it's like, no, because you're also going into a draft class where there are like quality tackles to be had, and you do have the flexibility. It's not like a mandate that you have to be aggressive and trade up, but you do have that flexibility where it's like, hey, if you really like Spencer Furneaux, if you really like Monroe Freeling, and you want to guarantee that you get them, trade up.
That's the problem right there. That's the problem, is that now you have to spend more resources to get the guy you want because you don't have another choice.
But it's an if. But it's an if. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, we've pigeonholed ourselves into this thought process that like, hey, they have to do these things, and it's like, no, that is literally an option. And if Brad has told us anything, like, hey, if we love a guy, like, yes, we'll try our best to go get them. That doesn't mean that they will. So then it's like, okay, well then who is the next player on your board that you like just as much? Is there another tackle that you feel is just as good that you have to take at 17? Or do you trade down from 17 because like, hey, none of the players that we feel are valuable are at 17. We're going to trade down to like in the 20s. And now we still have our pick of Caden Proctor, Caleb Lomu. These other guys that we like, we just maybe don't like them enough to take them at 17.
Well,
like,
if you're not taking a premium position at 17, if you don't think a premium position like tackle is good enough at 17 and you're trading down, well then he's not a good player.
I just feel like we've talked ourselves into this thought process that like there is no like, man, the Lions are gonna have a need, and this is such a bad thing that like for them. And it's like, no, like I don't necessarily agree with that thought process.
I don't think it's a good thing, but I don't know if I necessarily view it as maybe the worst thing in the world. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's room to like understand that there's plenty of ways to skin this cat. Like, there are a lot of ways to like come up with a solution for this season. I think for offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Like, I think that there are options, but like, I agree, Jeremy, like when it comes to like quarterback or it comes to offensive tackle, like that has to be the guy at the top of your board. You're not like just settling for, well, we need an offensive tackle, so we're just going to get the next guy. And I think Brad Holmes is the GM who has let all of us know that he goes into the draft with a list of his guys. And when these guys are available, he'll manipulate the board, you know, possibly like Miles Frazier a year ago, right? Like we would have drafted him, but he fell all the way into our laps in the fifth. That's all great. But like, I think, make no mistake about it, Brad always walks out with his guys.
Right.
And I think, Miko, to your point, like in 21, 22, there were so many needs. You could take anybody. You could even be aggressive and swing and take pick 32 and move up and take Jamison Williams in the team or in you know, the early 10s. Like with so many needs, it's just uncharted territory again, though. And that's the uncertainty that I feel with Brad Holmes right now. I think it is just like he hasn't been in this position. How is he going to get himself out of this bag?
But I feel like you just said that he has, though. Like in those 2 years, they have all of these needs.
I think expectations were really low, though. They don't have like Super Bowl expectations. So like you can just draft the best player available with all these needs, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like that's still the same thought process, though. Like you have all of these needs, take the best player. If it's not a tackle, like again, I think yes, will there be fans that'll be upset? Like, wow, they didn't take. I really thought they were going to take Blake Miller. They didn't take Blake Miller. They took Keldrick Falk instead. Who's going to be upset that they just like if we just said that the defense is an issue, you prioritize that position. And I think I said this a while ago. Like the thing that's unique about the NFL versus other sports is that you have 7 rounds and you will find quality players in those other rounds. So just because the Lions don't take a tackle in round 1 doesn't mean that the tackle that they potentially take in round 2 or round 4 or round 5 doesn't have the potential to be something. I get that it becomes more of a gamble, but this idea that like it can't still be had, or like Brad's never been in this position before, I feel like he clearly has. Yes, the only difference is fans' expectations are higher than they were then. I think that's literally the only thing that would change.
No, the difference is that he had so many needs that you could take any position. Now we're talking about one need, one specific narrow need. Everyone in the draft, every draft war room is going to know that the Lions need a tackle in their top 100 picks. Because if their plan is to pick a day 3 tackle to fill their left tackle need, you can say goodbye to the season, like right now.
Yeah, I'm not feeling great about the offensive line if that's the case. So, like, I think historically speaking, I think data would back up that drafting an offensive tackle in the first round, you're getting your chances are much higher that player is going to be a competitor and going to play for you for years and years. Like I think the data would back that up. Like the further you get away in the draft, I think the guy from Philly was a Mailata. Like those stories I think are far and few in between when it comes to getting like great offensive tackle talent later in the draft. Like, can it happen? Yeah, it can happen, but it can also not happen. And it happens, I think, more often than not.
I don't know. I feel like this conversation went in a weird direction where it's like, yes, this is an issue, right? Like, I'm not saying that it's not an issue, but I feel like we've also somehow found a way of talking about this as if there's only one solution to it, when it's like, there's not. There are multiple solutions to fix this problem. It's just a matter of like, and we truly won't know until September if the solution the Lions pick is the actual right one.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can all agree the ideal solution is get a stopgap, draft a guy, right? Like that makes the most sense because you protect yourself in case, you know, the problem is just like the names, right? Who is the guy that you like in free agency that you're going to feel comfortable with as your stopgap? And then who's the guy you like in the draft? We don't need to talk about the draft at this point because it's still 2 months away, but I don't know. I don't love the free agency class, which is why I don't love the Taylor Decker move.
And and I do think that there's a world where we felt comfortable with Penei Sewell being the starting tackle day one when he was drafted. I think that there's obviously a world where if the Lions do get that tackle at 17, or if they have to move up a little bit to get their guy, you're going to feel great about that. I think you're going to feel comfortable that like this regime has done their due diligence. They were sold on Penei. They drafted him, right? Like, they're going to get another guy. Ratledge, another good competitor, like at guard. I think you can trust their high round picks for the most part, historically speaking.
Yeah, I mean, I think even looking at, again, it wasn't a Brad Holmes pick, but you even look at when the Lions were able to acquire Taylor Decker at the 16th pick, like the idea that they can still find a quality long-term tackle at that pick is still viable. I think, like I said earlier, like I think I only threw out the option of trading up because it is something that if Brad is desperate for a guy, then like, yes, obviously that's a card that's now in his deck that probably wasn't there when Taylor Decker was still on the roster.
It'll let you know how he feels about their tackle position if he does that.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Right? Like the minute you start getting that desperate to where you're willing to give up assets to go get a guy, everyone is on high alert. Like, oh, they saw this as a pretty big need. And that's exactly what I be doing when I'm ordering my Righteous Felon Craft jerky, is like when I start putting stuff in my cart, it's because I absolutely need to make sure that I'm stocked up, especially now that my wife thought it's a good idea to start dipping into my stash. Of all the things that I thought was going to happen this year, Taylor Decker being released, David Montgomery being traded, and my wife jumping into my Righteous Felon Craft jerky were nowhere near on my bingo card. The Pride of Detroit podcast is brought to you by Righteous Felon Craft Jerky. It's the jerky that fuels the Pride of Detroit PODcast. Each 2-ounce bag of jerky has 16 to 20 grams of protein, and each stick has 8 grams. Trust me, if it's good enough for the Lions, it's going to be good enough for you too. Righteous Felon is based in Westchester, Pennsylvania. They use locally sourced, all natural Black Angus beef and prides itself on superior quality, revolutionary branding, and unique flavors that go beyond the stereotypical jerky offering. Last week, I told you guys about the new meat stick that Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has. It's the honey heist flavor, and that's exactly what I found my wife eating. Like, and found out that she had been doing it for like a couple days. And I thought my stash was getting a little light, but I thought, like, you know what? Maybe I'm just eating in my sleep. Maybe that's how good this jerky is. No. Apparently, she has been dipping into my stash. So I basically did the same thing for her that I do for you guys. I told her to go over to righteousfelon.com, use the promo code POD15 at checkout, because she could save 15% on her own order and leave my stuff alone, because I'm already spending my own money on my own jerky. I don't need her making me spend more money more frequently. So again, that's promo code POD15 at righteousfelon.com. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the offensive needs that the Lions need to address in free agency, and we're going to try to fit in the defense somehow, because I feel like looking at how the offensive line conversation went, the defense is going to go, this might be a long podcast. So buckle up, get a snack. We'll be right back right after this.
All right. Break time. Let me get through a whole bunch of alerts and we can chat about what you guys want to chat about. I got to scroll back quite some time. I'm not going to say this guy is full name, but I'll just say German. Thank you for the follow. Lion's Blood, you don't even want to know, Ryan.
Okay, not gonna look.
Lion's Blood, thank you for the 55 months subscribed on Twitch. Kula, thank you for the 40 months, says, when does the happy part of free agency start? I mean, when they start acquiring players. They can't do that yet. So tomorrow. I mean, there are probably going to be a bunch of names that you really like go off the board first, and then you're going to get upset, and then the Lions will do one thing, and you'll be like, oh, okay. Here's the thing about free agency and the draft. A lot of the players you like 85% of them aren't going to get signed by the Lions. So most people come out of free agency mad because their specific guys don't go to Detroit.
Right. And you like those guys? Okay. You like them. I bet you a bunch of other teams like them.
Also true. And this is the explanation of why I don't like the offseason. It's because we spend months and months hyping up these guys that are going to be available. Then they, A, aren't even available, or B, go to a different team, sometimes the team that you hate the most. Just wait and see the plan. See what happens. I wish I could do that. I can't do that because I have to write about free agency for a month and a half before it happens.
But is there Malik Willis news?
No. Is there?
What do you
Okay,
mean?
I'm just wondering why people are wondering if asking if Ryan's done his victory lap on Malik Willis. Did he get a big contract already? Did tampering start earlier than we thought?
I was gonna say somebody's getting in trouble, or the Packers finally wised up and realized the error of their mistakes,
And they've released Jordan Love.
and they've
Extended
traded
Malik
Jordan
Willis.
Love.
Be incredible.
I would be the most insufferable person if that happened. If that was a real thing that happened, within the next 24 hours, I would take work off.
And when you say it, you mean you would add to your already most insufferableness. You would just extend your lead.
I'd be so
Unsufferableness or
unsufferable.
insufferable?
I'd be so unsufferable.
Dang it. All right, let me get through the alert. Stop interrupting me. It's your fault.
You guys brought up Malik Willis. I'm not supposed to talk. All right, I'll shut up.
Hey, Miko, thank you for the 50 months. Says 50 months. My Twitch vasectomy clearly didn't take. Wow, we're getting deep into podcast lore. I like this. JP is me, 37 months, says, as someone who thought trading Monty and releasing Decker should be on the table, this still feels weird. Yeah. That's the thing. I don't want to act like I'm so incredibly against both moves. I certainly understand both. Right? It makes sense.
From a business standpoint.
From a
That's
business
the part that
standpoint,
sucks. Because
yes.
I think from a business standpoint, 100%. But I keep on
Yes.
coming
Yeah.
back to Monty's message and even Decker. Right? We know
Listen,
how much those
they
guys
can get-
love playing here.
Right. And there is also a little bit of a heartache that we couldn't make it happen for those players too, right?
They
Same
were
with
on that
Brandon.
team that was so close.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Decker had been here for
feels
so
weird.
long.
Yeah, it feels weird that next season we're gonna Taylor Decker maybe a little bit more than David Montgomery, but it's gonna be weird to see Taylor Decker wear a different uniform.
Oh, dude, it's going to be like the Emmett Smith Cardinal season, where it's just oh God, this just doesn't feel right.
Dante Culpepper in a Lions jersey.
No, that felt right.
Felt so good. Dude, if Taylor Decker is in a Chicago Bears jersey, though, I will
literally-
Oh my God,
man.
that one who's that one Bears writer that said it might
know.
happen, and
I thought he was AI. We all dunked on him.
Oh God, I didn't even think about that until now.
I will be if that were to happen, I would be so loud, and the Lions need to draft an edge rusher just because I need somebody just to whoop on Taylor Decker twice a year.
Oh, but I do find it very funny that Lions fans last week were just absolutely flipping out. Oh my God, Max Crosby's going to Chicago. Oh my God, Tyler Lindenbaum's going to Chicago. And
Everyone's in Chicago.
And they trade for, I don't think, a very good center, to be quite honest. And that might not be
PFF grades reflect that he's a good
Garrett
center.
Bradbury. Yeah,
Garrett Bradbury, yeah.
Yeah.
he's just kind of okay. I'm glad the Lions didn't make that move, and obviously they're not getting Max Crosby. Now they might have something else up their sleeve. I wouldn't be that surprised, but yeah. I just find it funny that like they're gonna do all these moves, and Brad's gonna sit on his hands, and then the top 2 moves that they were gonna make are just like, yeah, they're not doing that now.
Yeah. I think the crowd that was like wondering why the Ravens haven't just like signed Tyler Linderbaum, like I feel like the Ravens probably have been trying, and his agents looking at the market like, dude, you're gonna get paid. Like someone's gonna pay
Yeah, like
something
don't
ridiculous for you.
don't
take that
agree
offer.
to anything until the tampering begins.
We
Like,
didn't
Yeah.
really, I know, I feel like we didn't talk about Linderbaum or the center position that much, and I feel like we still need to. Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
fine.
I know. We then. Well, I think we can skip over skill position players or just not talk about them that much because, I mean, RB2. We should talk RB2. Right?
Yeah,
That's
I don't think
about it.
anyone's really gonna be that fussed about tight end 2 or 3.
Yeah. Or the Khalif Raymond. You want to have the Khalif Raymond conversation right now?
Yeah, let's talk about Dominic Lovett right now.
Do you
I mean, I think that's where we'll all probably land, right? Where it's like, yeah, I just kind of want to see what Dominic Lovett has.
It's so low
Respectfully.
on the list of things that I can care about when it comes to the Lions right now. It's so low.
I will say that Al threw out a name that I thought was interesting to replace him, and that was Greg Dortch
Greg Dortch.
from the Cardinals. 5'7", 180. Spotrac has his value at like 1.6 million. It's got a lot of punt return experience. Kind of a gadgety player. Comes from the Cardinals, so there's some Petzing connection there as well.
Yeah,
Save
maybe.
some money, get younger. Probably take a little bit of a step back in terms of your punt return skills, but
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm with Ryan. It's like it's so low on my radar where it's like it's either Dominic Lovett, you can draft a guy, or you're gonna sign a dude that I'm gonna be like, sure, can he, as long as he can field punts. Like,
yeah.
The bandwidth, I agree, Miko, but the moment that the Lions run into a situation like the Rams did against the Seahawks, I'm gonna be so loud and pissed
sure.
about it.
listen, we were all like, it's
those
gonna
two
be
muff punts, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
yeah, it's gonna
Tom
be
Kennedy.
it's gonna be the 49ers game situation all over again, where like no one would really care too much about the corner position until Kenneth Vildor had a pass
Yeah.
bounce off his face mask, and it was like, hey, let's make sure that our quarterback depth is better from now on.
Or like the Bears with their double doink, and then they just have whole tryouts of like 15 kickers all kicking from that exact same length.
That hash, yeah.
All right, let me get through the rest of these. Captain James Kirk 50-bit says, legitimate question, if there's no trade market for Decker, even a 6th or 7th, doesn't that prove Holmes was on the right side of asking him to take a pay cut?
No. No.
Let me think about that for a second. I think the answer is no, but I guess the question is, do you always have to pay someone exactly what they're worth? Like, is it okay to overpay Taylor Decker a little bit?
I think it depends on who the player is, and
I think-
what
well, I think it
stage of
depends on
their
the
career
player.
they're in. Because
Yeah,
like
right.
typically you want to be paying players not to reward their previous play, but to pay them what you think they'll be worth by the end of that contract, right?
Yeah.
Like that's why they're not. That's why I think most people agree. Like, probably shouldn't re-sign Alex Anzalone. You might be getting to a point where he's going on the other side of his career, or even trading David Montgomery. I think you see that writing on the wall kind of thing.
Sure.
I think it's the same thing with Taylor Decker and the conversation we had about like it's the business side of things, where it's like I can't ever fault them for being business
Right.
savvy when it comes to their team.
I just
Yeah.
don't know if this is as savvy as it feels, because it's like the old Family Guy joke, right? Like, oh, we've got 11.6 million. What can we?
Could be
That's 11
anything.
point. Yeah, it could be anything. It could be a Taylor Decker. Great, cool.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, it also kind of depends on the state of your team, because that's where like
Sure.
I think once again we all agree with the business side of it, but like you don't have like a clear backup plan to the Taylor Decker situation.
Right. But they're
And
also
so,
desperate for
like-
cap space. So like again, like yeah.
Yeah.
We're playing both sides here.
Like if
because,
a team,
yeah, there's no wrong or right answer to this, right? It's
Right. But if
Tricky.
like if this was a situation where like you felt great about Miles Frazier or you felt great about Gio
Yeah.
being like your next left tackle, you'd be like,
Yep.
"Oh, this was a great move by Brad because
Right.
this paves the way for one of those guys to start." Because there are question marks there, like there's no way of just being able to blindly say like Brad made the right or wrong decision. You really won't know until you kind of
Right.
see
Yeah.
what they end up doing in free agency
Well,
or the draft.
I think one of the contracts that comes to mind real quick is when they gave David that extension in 2024. Like that's one of those moments where I know you talked about this, Jeremy, when we talked about David Montgomery, where it's like that was probably not the right move. That was
Yeah.
probably a move that was done where it's like, you've been awesome for us. We're going to take care of you. We want you to be here. We want you to be a part of this long-term vision kind of thing. And maybe that's why things didn't work out with David Montgomery in the end, right? Because like maybe that extension was signed with, I'm going to have this role kind of thing. And then you don't end up in that role. Same thing with like Decker, right? Like the expectations, maybe what was a quote unquote surprise to Decker was how little valued they found him to be when it came to like a dollar's perspective.
Right.
Like I don't think that there was a player on this team that Dan Campbell loved more than Taylor Decker. Like he would talk about Taylor Decker.
Yeah.
He would wax poetically about how tough he was and how like, you know, it's a maintenance day. Like I trust Deck's going to be out there. Like we don't need to see Taylor Decker play in the preseason. Like
Right.
that's my dude. Like we know what he's going to bring to the table thing. Like they respect him from that standpoint. But like, I think that's why Miko said it. It was an amicable split because I don't think that Decker feels any hard feelings about it. Like they know they they probably love Taylor Decker. They would love him to be on this football team, but just not at the cost.
I do wonder if there's like a little bit of a good cop, bad cop thing happening in Detroit because
With Dan and Brad.
Yeah, because like even with Alex Anzalone, right? Because every time Dan talks about Alex Anzalone, oh man, he's our heartbeat. He's at the core of the team. He's so important to what we do. And then Brad's like, yeah, no, we're not going to give you extra money this year. No, nope.
But hey, what also happened though? Good cop and bad cop aligned last offseason. Because like that Dan Campbell quote with "Make no mistakes about it," like this is Jack Campbell's defense.
Right.
Like he's our middle linebacker. And then I was like, oh,
yeah,
you guys don't value Alex Anzalone the way that he thinks he does.
Would it be more shocking to you that they cut Taylor Decker or they re-sign Alex Anzalone at this point? Which one would be more shocking?
Re-signing Alex.
Resign Alex.
Right.
Like, oh man, there's so much I'd like to say without being like very disrespectful. But like,
you can
like,
just say
I
the
just
way
feel
he's
like
conducted himself has not been professional, if that's what you're getting at.
well, that's essentially what I'm getting at, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think there becomes a point where, like, if you're Dan, if you're Brad, you don't want your veteran players being the ones that you have to hear like nonsense about.
Yeah, I agree. Which I mean,
And I
which is
feel
why
like
that whole thing
that's-
is surprising. He's a 5-time captain here.
Yeah, like of the people on this roster that you would expect to keep like contract talk and negotiations and stuff like that behind closed doors, like Alex is at the top of the list of who I would expect to be able to do those things. And I think like Ryan, to your point about like the good cop, bad cop thing, like I think one of the reasons Dan is able to play the role he's played is one, because he is a player. So he understands the
Sure.
business aspect. And I'm sure
Yeah.
he has real talks with his players where like, hey, this is the business of it. It doesn't mean that we don't value, it doesn't mean this, and this. Like I think he's able to explain it in a way to where when you do have guys like David and Monty and even Graham, they ended up having to part ways. Like there's no hard feelings because all of those players at one point in time, while they were still here, were pointing out like, hey, Dan's so transparent. He's so open door policy and will like have real conversations with you that when the business part happens, it's like, well, whatever. Like, right. Like, cause I've had these conversations. The thing with Alex becomes so just like frustrating because it's like, you clearly have like an open line to Dan. I'm sure you also have that same thing with Brad, and yet you're choosing to like
pick on the social media team.
Yeah. It's just weird.
By the way, this is whoops, hold on. Anzalone's latest. And the song is Thankful, in case you can't read that. So
Cool.
All right, let me get back to it. Icy, so thank you for 52 months subscribed on Twitch. Nicholas, thank you for 20 months subscribed on Twitch. Says, Loins, getting a little worried here. Ton of holes and the tampering period under 24 hours away and still nothing in restructures. Is this going to be an extremely inactive free agency period, draft picks only? Mika, we were talking about this before. Do you want this to be part of the podcast, or you want to just talk about the restructuring stuff now?
We can talk about it now. Yeah, I feel like we have so much to talk about in the next segment.
Yeah.
Might as well.
Don't worry about the restructuring timing. Is my big takeaway here. They can do it whenever they want. Up and like they have to be cap compliant by Wednesday at 3:59 p.m. right before free agency opens. They're going to restructure contracts. They have to. Because even if the Taylor Decker thing goes through and they cut him, they're what, like 7 or 8 million?
6
million,
like 6 or 7
under the cap. That's not enough to sign your draft class, let alone re-sign 40 players. They have to restructure. They will restructure. How much? I don't know. I imagine Jared Goff probably gets the full restructure, which frees up like 40 plus million. And maybe that's all they do.
It's a good start.
Yeah. But you got to chill out on the timing. They're not just sitting on their hands. There's no reason to do it. Yeah. And you could make an argument. Someone in our Pride of Detroit Direct person brought this up as a question to us. You can start agreeing to deals on Monday and say like, okay, let's see how many deals we can get done. And then decide how much cap space we need to create based on those deals. You can do that if they want to. There's no rules against it. There's no rules against dogs being able to play basketball. You can do whatever you want.
Good news
how do you guys
Samuel
feel? How would you guys feel like when it comes down to the restructures? Because I know Morgan's been a big proponent of this, so shout out to him for this. But obviously, like, Goff is again, like, suspect number one for getting a restructure. What do you guys feel about the Lions giving Penei Sewell like the Myles Garrett treatment?
Wait, can you remind me what that's in reference to? I know I've heard him say that before, but I'm not that familiar with Myles Garrett's contract.
Yeah, I believe it was something along the lines, and again, Morgan could probably speak to this better. I know we talked about it. There's a video on our YouTube channel where we talked about the Myles Garrett contract situation. But essentially, the Browns did something funky where they push so much of his contract into signing bonuses and just continue to just push his contract out. So he had a ton of void years, but basically, like, they were in such a situation where like they could never really trade him, right? Like they basically had to keep re-signing him at some point in time. And Morgan's kind of argument is like, do the same thing with Penei, like basically just guarantee that he's always here. And restructure his deal in such a way where like, hey, he gets a lot of his money, but like, yeah, there's not really a way of getting out of his contract, essentially.
Yeah, I got no problem with it. Like, I don't care.
I mean, I think if there's a player on the roster that's worth doing that with, like Penei is like the one where you're just like that's the guy that you're just happy with being a Lion for the next 7 to 10 years.
His salaries aren't crazy high to create a bunch of space. Like, it's 19.9 million this year, 23.9 million next year, 25.9 million the year after that. So like, yeah, you can max restructure all of those and you'll create, I don't know, like 15 to 20 million the next year and next few years. And yeah, like I honestly don't mind that too much at all. There is going to be like one big payday at the end where he's not on your team and he's like 100 million in dead cap. But in general, you rather have money in the future than in the now, because one, that means you can make moves now, and two, money in the future when the salary cap is constantly going up is less percentage of the overall cap. So yeah, no, I don't think there's much downside in doing that to Penei, other than like one final huge bill when he retires.
Yeah. I think you also made another good point earlier too, Jeremy, about the restructures in regards to like it's not really like difficult conversations that like the Lions are having with players. Like,
Right.
these are pretty straightforward types of conversations.
Yes. This isn't like something that requires a lot of negotiation and time to get done. For the players, there's no downside. You are taking salary and guaranteeing it, essentially. That is the only difference for the player. So who would say no to that? Who would say, oh, the salary that
No money for me, please.
that if I get hurt or if you cut me for whatever reason that wasn't guaranteed, suddenly you're like, you will get this money from us guaranteed.
No money for me, please. I have enough. Please don't put any money in my bank account, Mr. Lion.
I don't need $55 billion, but
Yeah, I'm good.
And as
on the
California Line says too, like some of these contracts, like you don't even have to have a conversation with the player. You just, it like automatically triggers, or there's language in there that says, hey, we can do this if that.
money. We have more alerts.
We do. I will get to them. How Now Brown Cow 35 months says, Jeremy, my cut up of everything I've had you say is almost done. Oh God. All of those little rap lyrics that you ask me to do every time you re-up, presumably rap lyrics. I did not realize that was going into a cut up.
That is awesome.
You were
I
playing
can't
the
wait to
long
see
game
that.
with me this entire time.
please send that
can't wait
to
to see
us
that.
because that is going up on every social media platform, every last.
Yeah, until it's me saying like the most amazing, most offensive things in the world.
I'll
Stitched
clean it
together.
up in post. I'll bleep stuff out.
What are you talking about? You already do that when Nick donates bits to us.
No. RGA 39 months is hoping this week goes good. Fingers crossed. Me too. Love Lion, thank you for the 25 months as I retired from football on my way home from the Steelers game, but I'm back and ready to see Brad fill some gaping holes. That was a tough Steelers game. That was a tough watch and a tough ending. And it pretty much ended the season.
And it just gave us one of like the dumbest side quests subplots to the Lions season. Backwards hat fan at table saying, I'm definitely not a racist.
Oh, dear Lord. That guy does not represent us, Steelers fans that are watching this for some reason.
Or Seahawks fans who
Or
are
Seahawks
DK Metcalf fans.
I got to be careful not to say anything bad about that guy because he's obviously very litigious and has,
Yeah, no.
let's just say, an eclectic lawyer.
We got to get the Greek. We'll be fine.
The Greek on retainer.
D-Trick, thank you for the 7 months. Subscribed on Twitch. Steel Lines, 38 months, says this offseason has made me invest in Pepto-Bismol. It's been a rough one so far. Spielman, 37 months, says, love Decker. I hope letting him walk is the right move, but in Brad I trust. Nate, thank you for subbing on YouTube. Lord Goofa, 45 months, says, putting you guys on the background while I clean my fridge. Ooh, I'm probably due for a good fridge cleaning.
We did that like a couple. Actually, Cleveland did that like last weekend. I opened the fridge and I was like, "Hey, stuff is different in here."
If you had to guess, how many like sauces and or dressings are expired in your fridge right now?
0.
Is it just because you just cleaned, or are you very like?
Oh no,
fixated on that?
like both. Like one we just cleaned, but no, like the sauces that we have get used, and when they start getting like, yeah,
That makes sense. Yeah, you guys got a whole family. I'm living the solo life, you know.
yeah.
Those sauces, been there for a while.
Now, how many sauces are in my sauce drawer that are probably expired? A ton. Like
Wait, which
80%
ones?
of those?
What drawer? What? Oh, this is going to get into a whole conversation about what should be refrigerated and what shouldn't be refrigerated. We don't need that again.
Part 6.
Listen, if it comes in, if I go to a fast food place, they give me sauce. The sauce goes in the drawer. I'm not.
Okay.
I don't think to put it in the refrigerator.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because it didn't start there, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
you're talking like Taco Bell packets. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tons of Chick-fil-A sauce.
I was also kind of just raised in a household too, though, where if the sauce was primarily salt based, it's fine. Just you can have it until like soy sauce, right?
Yeah,
like soy sauce can be like
hot
a year and a
sauce,
half past the
ketchup.
date, and you're like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
All right, let me get through the rest of these. Monkey, thank you for 36 months subscribed to the channel. DC Smithers, £5 super chat on YouTube says, for what it's worth, Jordan Rodriguez on a recent episode of NFL Daily agrees with Miko. Perhaps the Lions should and could draft for need this year. I don't think they're going to have a choice, which is my problem with it. But whatever.
I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like even going into the draft, still, like, obviously, like what we talked about, tackles high on the list.
Yeah.
I still feel like it's between two positions, really. Like, it's still either edge or tackle.
Yeah. I guess. Unless
Sunny Styles.
Now, listen, that's where things get really interesting. And I will throw all reason out the window. Who's going to block for Jared Goff? I have no clue. Who's going to block Sunny Styles? That's my question to you.
Flair, thank you for the 63 months. Tier 2, by the way, Flair. Appreciate that. And Engelbert, thank you for the follow on Twitch. All right, we're caught up. We did it.
Sunny Styles discourse will just bring you back to 2009. How many of you in chat were Aaron Curry people? How many of you were Aaron Curry people?
No comment.
Because I will be honest, I was like, he seems like a really good linebacker. I don't know if I'm sold on the Stafford guy. I also listened to a lot of 97.1 when I was in high school.
Sam Bradford's coming out next year.
I used
We're
to
fine.
be, Jeremy.
Go get Sam Bradford.
I used to be. I wanted the Lions to get Jake Cutler.
Is your hair slicked back or is it straight up?
Oh gosh. Aaron Curry though, that was a thing.
I think it was pro Stafford. Because I think I was like over the court. This is like when I actually started paying a lot of attention to the Lions, and I was just like, any quarterback has to be better than what they have right now, right?
That's fair. I was still holding out hope for Drew Stanton though.
You Sparty.
Trust me, listen. In the peak of my Michigan State fandom, I was right there with you. I was like, no, give Drew a shot. He could be the guy.
I wish I could take myself right now, Matthew McConaughey style, and just watch the draft in 2007 and like, how did I react when Drew Stanton was drafted, and like just be like, should this have ever been the draft pick that the Lions made? Clearly not. Like,
oh man, no, take me back to the Patricia hire, just to like put my hand on my shoulder and be like, hey.
It's gonna be tough.
It's gonna be tough, buddy.
I remember some very specific things I tweeted as soon as it was clear that he was going to be the hire. That, boy, I hope I deleted those tweets.
I'm so glad I wasn't on Twitter at that time. Facebook probably says some ridiculous things.
This is a good topic though. Like worst takes we've had.
Oh, I'll tell you, like, my worst one is that Kayvon Thibodeau would be a better pass rusher than Aiden Hutchinson.
Is there still time?
But I was convinced that like Aiden was going to peak as like a Trey Hendrickson guy. I was like, like that was going to be Aiden's peak, and that Kayvon would be the next premier pass rusher.
I had concerns about Aiden Hutchinson's ceiling, so much so that I was willing to take a quarterback out of Liberty with the number 2 overall pick. So, but hey, like Jeremy said, there's still time. There's still time.
Listen,
don't sell all of your Kayvon Thibodeau stock.
That draft
Hold on to
weird
it
though, because I was all over the place in that draft. I was everywhere but Aiden Hutchinson.
Oh, even Trayvon Walker. See, Trayvon Walker seemed like a bridge too far for me a little bit.
Yeah.
No.
Like I was like, oh, cool, he's a run defender.
Yeah. I think I had maybe talked myself into like understanding why the Lions might take him, but no. Like I didn't want him to be the pick. It was either Kayvon, Kyle Hamilton, or Malik Willis, probably at that time.
I was never pro Malik Willis, but I got close when Brett Whitefield was starting to bang that drum. I got close.
I just like there were so many just people reaching for straws with Malik Willis. Like, remember when he wore the Lions hat at the Senior Bowl?
Yeah.
And people
Oh,
were like,
what do you mean?
"That's
Do
the
I
guy."
remember? Let me go into my camera roll. Hashtag drill us for Willis. That was 2021, man.
Oh man.
Remember
Good
the
times.
story about him like helping out a homeless person
Maybe.
during? I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it was in Indy, like for the combine, and like somebody saw him
Yep.
outside,
Oh.
like helping somebody in need, and I was like, I
No-
can't talk about this. I can't talk about this.
Now that's just like a Facebook story that every single player in the NFL has had a fake
Has
story
done.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's going to be this, like, listen, when Malik Willis leads a team to the Super Bowl, it's going to be the story that they all bring up. And like, this is how we knew he was going to be a fantastic leader.
golly, like
What's up, Fritzy?
if he could swap places with Sam Darnold, I think the Seattle Seahawks would have a dynasty.
Where I haven't even been paying attention. Where is he projected to go?
I think there's a
I
lot
think
of Miami
Miami.
smoke. Yeah.
Miami,
Yeah.
Yeah. Because of Halfley.
Halfley. Yeah. Okay.
But although I'm seeing like the stuff about Tua, like they're gonna have to Brock Osweiler him. Like they're gonna have to include draft pick compensation to facilitate a trade. Like they were talking like, would it take like a first round pick? Would it take like a second round pick to? Because like they can't cut him.
Sorry, I missed
Tua,
two.
the Dolphins.
Oh, they can't cut him. I don't.
Yeah, I mean they just gave him the
Oh, I thought
extension,
they
the
could.
same. They gave him the same. It was the same offseason as Goff, right? Like his contract is insane.
It's crazy. Hannibal. So with Kyler, when he signs, the price gets removed from his dead money that Arizona pays. Is that the same with Decker? I don't quite understand the question, Hannibal, but Decker's dead money will be dead money. You can't get rid of dead money. It just stays with them. So if the Lions cut Taylor Decker, they're due the whatever 9.3 million or whatever it is in dead money. They have to pay that immediately unless they do the June 1st release, in which case it goes like 3.3 this year, 6 point whatever next year.
I just looked at Tua's contract.
Is it a mess?
90.
It's like
99.
It's like
million in
$99
dead
million
money.
dollar in dead money.
Oh, Lord. Let me show it to everybody
Oh
else.
my!
It's
That is
18.3%
crazy.
of the cap.
That's wild.
Like, you're gonna have to hope that someone really believes in Tua.
So wait. Okay,
Or-
wait. What is this? Oh my god. Ads. What is this option bonus? Is that where did that come in? Bonus. So that was a $5 million option bonus from last year that got activated. That there's still $20 million left on. Plus, is there another option bonus this year for another $15 million? Looks like it. Maybe they'd get out of that $15 million, but that's rough. Holy cow!
That's why they're talking like they are.
Oh, his whole salary is guaranteed. What in the world?
They gave him this like the same offseason as Goff, I think, right?
He signed it back in
2024,
yeah,
July.
because didn't he get paid before golf?
He got paid after Goff.
Ah, okay.
That's wild. Good luck. Good luck to Miami and all of their endeavors. I'm glad we're not you.
I don't even like.
The
Can they even
53
make a?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, can they even make a competitive offer for Malik Willis?
They're going to have a really expensive backup unless they figure out a team that will take on Tua's contract. So, like I said, you have to give a draft pick with it. But, like, this is from the NFL, the NFL.com news article for Tua's extension. The $53.1 million per year new money extension is the second largest 4-year agreement in NFL history, coming in a shade over Jared Goff's $53 million pack and just behind Jordan Love and Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence's. All those guys are going to be starting quarterbacks in 2026, and nobody who did that? Who made that decision?
I think that dude got fired too.
I don't think McDaniel was ever. It's funny enough. I heard who's Katie Nolan's husband? Dan Soder.
Okay.
Dan Soder is like childhood friends with Mike McDaniel, the comedian Dan Soder.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how like McDaniel and Tua had like a great working relationship, but like by no means was like Tua his guy. Like he was going to Miami to like, hey, I'm gonna help Tua, I'm gonna help get the most out of him. And like he did for a little bit.
Yeah.
So like I don't think
for him to get that contract.
And I don't think Mike McDaniel was like, yeah, let's do this.
I didn't understand how they gave him that contract after, like, once your quarterback has to go into the offseason to learn how to fall properly or how to get tackled properly.
Exactly. It was after all of those blows to the head. Like what? Who? Signed
no.
Off? What neurologist signed off on that contract?
I thought that all happened in 2024.
I felt like some of that
he got
stuff,
the contract.
I thought he got the
none
contract.
of the head hits happened before.
I don't know.
I could have sworn they did.
I mean, the first thing that shows up on YouTube is Tua's 4 head injuries since 2022.
Oh God, that one was.
Yeah.
Tua's contract is not worse than Deshaun Watson's. To be clear.
No.
No.
It's not even close.
No. But like whoever, like if you're a rookie, you should be trying to get their agents. Like whoever their agents are, like I want them because they know how to fleece teams apparently.
By the way, I got Twitter open. People complaining about Jeremy Fears already. The game's not even 30 minutes in. Dirty player.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it tournament time? I thought you didn't care about college basketball.
It's March. This is March.
This is March. Yeah. Now it's all of March. It's not just the tournament.
Alpha, they're going to do they have to do restructuring. They literally can't afford their rookie class with the amount of cap space that they have, let alone sign or re-sign any players. It's going to happen. There's just no reason, like, there's no deadline at this point. The deadline is Wednesday at 4 p.m. And as our frenemy Andrew Brandt likes to say all the time, deadline spur action. And with no action, no deadline, I should say, no need to have an action. So don't freak out about it. It'll happen. I mean, the Packers just announced one, right? Or news got broke that the Packers just did one. What is this?
A restructure?
Jamar Chase throws expletives after Ravens trade.
He was live streaming, playing a video game, and learned about the Max Crosby trade.
That's awesome. I'm not playing that because of some of the language in it, but fantastic.
It's gonna be so great when the Bengals draft a safety
in the chat
at 10.
I like how he's like, how did we let this guy get in the division? Like,
I don't think you have much of a choice.
I don't. Oh man.
Even he knows, like, but like that shows you just how bad the Bengals are as an organization. Like your star wide receiver knows that his quarterback's cooked. Like.
Chase, thank you for the follow on Twitch. Captain James Kirk, thank you for the bit. reminding us of drills for Willis. Good times. You want to get back into it?
Yeah.
Are we gonna smush everything into a second segment?
Yeah, I told
Okay.
people to buckle up. So listen.
All right.
Listen. Hey,
Let's
we're gonna
do
do
it.
the best we can with what we got.
We are going to be efficient. We are going to be concise. We are
Uh-huh.
going to be. I'm just trying to speak it into existence,
Okay.
Jeremy. Like I
Sorry,
don't
I'm
know
sorry.
I don't know if I believe any of this stuff, but I'm just saying it out loud.
We're gonna be us. All right, whatever that looks like.
Well, then just throw everything I said right out of the window. So.
Hey, we made it through an entire break without talking about food, really. So like, we can do this. We can be efficient.
Speaking of food, no, I'm just kidding.
And welcome back to the Pride of Detroit PODcast. Segment 2 here. We're going to continue our 2026 free agency preview, where we're going to talk about a lot of the things that the Lions need to address. Before we transition over to the defense, I still want to touch on a number of things that we kind of didn't get to dive too deep into on the offensive side. And we are going to start back with the offensive line. I know segment 1 was full of offensive line talk. That was mostly tackle talk. Let's talk center, because we talked about Tyler Linderbaum for a little bit. But what else could the Lions feasibly do at center? Like, in your guys' opinion, Jeremy, I'll start with you. Is this kind of like a Taylor Ratledge job to just be given to him? Or do you see any other type of way of them kind of addressing that position?
Well, if they could move Tate Ratledge to center, and this was Madden, and his Madden score would just drop a number or two, that would be ideal. Because I do like the guard class better in the draft. I like the guard class better in free agency, and I feel like that would open up a ton of options. And I mean, you could even squint real hard and say, well, Miles Frazier, Tate Ratledge, Christian Mahogany, maybe we don't have to do anything. Now, I'm not advocating for that, but like, it's not the worst case scenario, I think, in my opinion. Problem is, I don't like the idea of moving Tate to center. I got the sense he didn't want to do it his rookie season. Maybe his opinion has changed now that he's not swimming in a bunch of like rookie information. And we just got done with playing an offensive lineman out of position for 2 straight years, and then we cut him in Graham Glasgow. And so I don't want this to be a thing where you're constantly playing players out of position. And I'd like a more proven player at the center position. So I'm fully aboard to like, let's get creative here. I don't want Mays. Obviously, McGovern was kind of my guy in terms of just like where need was meeting cost. I thought he signed a very reasonable deal to come back to Buffalo. I would have absolutely liked the Lions to sign that exact same deal, at least based on the initial numbers. So now, like,
Yep.
What is that? 3 years, $30 million. Like, that was extremely reasonable as well. And I don't think Drew Scruggs is the answer. I don't think anyone else on the Lions roster is the answer. So, like, I want to see them get a little bit creative. I want to see them maybe pull out the trade, whether it's Froholt from Arizona is the one that I kind of pitched on Pride of Detroit Direct, where I think he's a good enough player to maybe command a 4th-round pick. Hey, you just got a 4th-round pick. What do you know? Dave Montgomery for a starting center. I'll take it.
Not bad. Aaron Brewer, maybe. I know that's another name that
Sure.
you floated. Miami
Yep.
Dolphins.
Yep, he's a really good player though, so that you might have to bump that up to a day 2 pick.
That's why I was kind of hoping that Mike McDaniel would end up here. I'd be like, oh yeah, and we'll get the center too.
Bring the center with him.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my head is at with center. Like, in an ideal world, yes, Tate Ratledge just plays center and he's great at it, and you can pick from the litter of good guard options. But I think the Lions are in a position where I think they need to get creative and go out and get a veteran guy that you can trust.
Yeah, Ryan, I feel like that's...
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
It's a standoff.
How do you guys feel about giving the bag to Tyler Linderbaum, though?
If there's a guy to give a bag to...
Is it
like, if
him?
the Lions, like... it... Yeah?
I don't know. As a Lions fan, I just have heebie-jeebies. I think back to Rick Wagner. It's like he's the top available guy. Give him the most money. Also, former Baltimore Raven. I don't know. Like, I like Linderbaum. I just don't know if I like Linderbaum 4 years, $80 million.
It's gonna be more than that.
Yeah,
like he's gonna get like the problem
on the open
is,
market. Yes,
that's the problem, is that there's one guy now in the open market. There's one guy and a lot of people with the center need, and that's gonna drive the price way up. And I'm with the idea that, like, if there's one guy to do it. Like, that's the one guy to do it with. But I first of all, I don't see Brad Holmes getting into a bidding war. I think at some point he's just gonna be like, nah, too much. But I'm not going to sit here and also pretend like if they signed it, I wouldn't do backflips. Because I don't care about money.
And I think that's
like, it's not my paycheck
like,
that I'm writing.
Well, and that's unfortunately like the reality of the situation for me as well. Like, I genuinely don't care how you figure out the salary cap down the road. I just want to make sure that we can go into this season and I not have to look at an offensive line and being like, so how good is Tate at center? Like, I don't want to have to find that out week 1.
Yeah.
And like to be like, oh, this looks terrible.
Right. Yeah. It's a tough spot.
Is there any other position though on the offensive side of the football that you guys are kind of like, hey, the Lions really do need to keep this near the top of their list when it comes down to addressing it in free agency, like once that kicks off next week?
Well, this was another bummer of a signing when you see James Conner go off the market because the Cardinals take care of him in-house. Like, that's just kind of been the weekend. The extended weekend was like the Lions opening up more holes and then potential solutions also just coming off the board even before there is a board to be had.
Yeah.
Like Jeremy, you mentioned McGovern, Biadasz, and then see James Conner go. Like, I think that this is a position that I wouldn't mind if the Lions went out and got a value back that they enjoyed, primarily backing up Jahmyr Gibbs, but like also filling a role that you can trust with a veteran and keeping that draft compensation for if you want to make a move or something like that, or if you want to draft some guys that maybe you'll need in the future with those later round draft picks. So like I'm on board with like a value running back.
Yeah.
More so than I think a lot of other positions when it comes to free agency.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's the position that I was thinking of when Miko brought it up. I kind of don't hate this year's draft class or this free agency class. Like, yeah, James Conner was kind of my guy. I thought it made a lot of sense. Obviously, he was coming off a big injury, but like Nick Chubb's out there, Brian Robinson's out there, Isaiah Pacheco's out there. If the Lions wanted to splurge, they could try to go after Tyler Algier. That's not the route I would recommend because I think it's going to be a little bit too costly. Plus, I think he's probably looking for more of a 1A role, considering he's just been the 1B role behind Bijan for the past few years. But I think there are options there. I think there are guys that could fill in that role. They're not going to be David Montgomery. They're not going to be, long-term necessarily options. But this is where the like running backs don't matter in me starts like rising up again and be like, you know what? There's actually a bunch of options and they're going to be fine as long as the Lions, fix their offensive line and get going. Like, they're just going to be okay.
And they don't matter because Jahmyr Gibbs is in-house too. Right?
Also true. Yes.
Yeah. But I think, like, to Jeremy's point, though, like, when you start to look at the list, like, there are guys that have taken, like, either have had to start for teams or, at least have split carries at a fairly rare pace. Like, you talk about Tyler Algier, obviously doing that with Bijan. Brian Robinson isn't that far removed from being the starting running back in Washington.
Yeah.
Like, there's enough guys on this list where you're just like, yeah, like, the Lions can, as long as it's probably one of these handful of guys, like there's guys that you can obviously cross off the list. Like, they're not going to make a play for Kenneth Walker. They're not going to make a play for Travis Etienne. Like, there's guys that for sure they're not going to go after, but there's still a nice crop. AJ Dillon is another guy that I think would be
I was just
a
about to bring him up.
serviceable.
Yeah.
Like, again, a guy that's been RB2 for a good portion of his career. So it's not even like a weird conversation of like, hey, Jahmyr's RB1. You kind of realize that you're going to be RB2, but he's done a lot with that role and still been able to be very productive in the NFL.
Ryan, do you know what AJ Dillon's nicknames are, according to Pro Football Reference?
Thunder Thighs?
You're on the right track.
Quadzilla?
Quadzilla is correct, along with the Quad Father.
I like the Quad Father a lot.
I can see the T-shirts now.
We got to come up with a good Jahmyr Gibbs quadfather nickname. Not right now. Not right now. We can think about it down the line. It's not. He's not on the team yet.
Not a high priority at the moment.
Anything else though outside of those two positions, or we can definitely transition this conversation over to defense, because that's where I think there's a lot of holes that have to be plugged. And I still think like there's some good value in certain places, but let's at least start with the edge group first and foremost. I think this is very similar to the tackle conversation that we had earlier, where it's like, okay, how do you feel about the tackle class in free agency, or is this more of a draft problem that you try to fix with younger and potentially cheaper talent as well?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have to get bodies there first, right? There just needs to be players there, regardless of like whether these are guys that are going to be starters or rotation. They need to sign at least one or two guys, and that might be re-signing Al-Quadin Muhammad. To me, that's kind of where the conversation starts, right? And I think we've kind of multiple times have kind of pegged him as the Levi Onwuzurike of free agency. Where is he going to get $10 million a year, or is he going to get $4 million a year? Because it's probably somewhere in between, and I'm not entirely sure where. I tend to think he's not going to get that much because he's only got 1 year of production, and some of the advanced stats are, in terms of like pass rush win rate and stuff, like they're not as outstanding depending on what pass rush win rate you use, because it's an advanced stat that has no standard between certain models. I'd like to see them bring him back in my like PODD mock offseason. I got him back on a 2-year $10 million deal. I understand that's a little bit probably team friendly, and I might be fudging the numbers a little bit, but I think if you can bring him back, you at least have a foundation to build upon, but you'll need to do more than that, obviously, whether it's in free agency or the draft.
Ryan, where does the price tag for you kind of like tip into like it's probably better to let Al-Quadin walk than it is to try to keep him?
Last year I didn't know what that was with Levi Onwuzurike. I don't think it's hard to pin it with Al-Quadin Muhammad based on the defense that they ran last year. You know what I mean? And I think that's part of something to consider about the Lions and their approach to the offseason is, are they going to spend as much time in base that they have loved to traditionally? Are they going to go with a nickel defense? And I know that doesn't have a big impact necessarily on defensive line and needing somebody on the opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson, but I think it's something to consider because of just how they'll have to attack the offseason, right? Like Amik Robertson all of a sudden has to become a high priority if you're going to do something like that. And if it's not Amik, well, you're going to be pouring those resources into somebody that you really do trust, and you might be spending a draft pick or spending some money in free agency on a cornerback, or we got to talk about safety and stuff. So there's kind of like a trickle down effect, and I feel like Al-Quadin Muhammad, like that price point, Miko, is less about how much it costs versus where I view the Lions could go in another direction. Like I really like the idea of Cam Jordan. I know he's going to be 37 years old, but you want to talk about Bizarro Marcus Davenport. The guy has played 243 of 245 games.
That's insane.
It's bonkers. It's absolutely insane, and has just been like a pinnacle of steady play. I mean, obviously he's quite removed from his prime, so to speak, but like I think he's very much still in that. I mean, last year he had 10 and a half sacks.
10 and a half sacks last year, yeah.
I was going to say he had a bit of a resurgence last year, like if you look at sack production.
Right. So, and I know that those are volatile, especially for a guy at his age.
I mean, he only had 6 in the previous 2 seasons combined, so.
Yeah. So, but again, like I view that as Dan Campbell, New Orleans Saints ties kind of thing.
Plus, like, the thing that I really like about that too is you get an immediate leader. This is a guy who's a 3-time, what do you call the Walter Payton Man of the Year candidate for them. You're gonna need a leadership guy on defense because Alex Anzalone isn't coming back. Like, obviously, I think maybe you hope it's Jack Campbell, or you hope it's someone else on that defense, Aiden Hutchinson stepping up and being a leader, but. What I really like about adding a guy like him is, too, if you pair that with a rookie, a top 100 pick, well, then you have a mentor right there in the building showing you, hey, this is how you carve out a long, productive career. I mean, put that guy right next to him in his locker room.
Put Ahmed Hassanin right next to him too, right, Miko?
That's literally who I was thinking of. Is like this is like the if you could pick a better mentor for Ahmed Hassanin, it probably would be Cam Jordan. I think another guy that I kind of look at in this free agency class that, again, you're not getting the same type of like veteran leader, but again, probably someone that fits at least the style of defense that the Lions like to play. I like the idea of maybe them prioritizing Kwity Paye, out of Indianapolis, as someone to pair opposite Aiden Hutchinson, and then you kind of get a guy that's really good against the run, doesn't have the greatest sack production, but at least somebody that you could potentially, like, I think we've said it the last few years. It's like you don't need like this dynamic pass rusher opposite Aiden. You just need somebody that can push the pocket, play really good on first and second down, and then like everything else will kind of figure itself out. And it still allows you to still find go out there and draft a rookie, hopefully within the top 100 picks that you have, and get somebody to kind of develop behind the scenes as well. But this is another group where you start looking at some of the names, you're just like, well, this is a pretty deep edge class as well in free agency. So it just comes down to the dollars of it all. I think when it comes to Al-Quadin, if the Lions could get him on a similar deal of what they were able to get like John Kaminsky on a couple years ago, where it was a nice salary bump from like, hey, you were making like 1.2, 1.4 million last year. We're going to bump you up to like to what you were able to create, Jeremy, where it's like, we're bumping you up to like 4 or 5 mil.
Yeah.
That's a nice pay raise if you're Al-Quadin Muhammad.
Yeah. I'm interested like going, because there's also some big names out there, and I think I could be talked into Joey Bosa a little bit. He wasn't the greatest run defender last year, but he's big and long and generally an average to above average run defender. Plus he's got a little bit of juice, but obviously injury history and all that. I mean,
another name that's really interesting to me is Bradley Chubb.
Yeah.
Bradley Chubb is an interesting name. Like, how is he going to be valued on the open market? Like, I know he's 29 years old. He's going to be going into his, year 30 season. Didn't play in 2024 with the injury. Came back, like, wasn't the player that he was, but also just on this Miami team that was going through it defensively. Yeah. So I don't know. That's an interesting name, but it's I don't know if I'm there with you on the Joey Bosa stuff. Like I just watch Buffalo games, and I'm never like last season. It was like I'm squinting to see Joey Bosa, and Joey Bosa was supposed to be this like game wrecker, right? And it never happened. So it feels very much like the bargain bin, and I know that's what you're kind of doing here,
right?
Yeah,
but the injury stuff. I think the injury stuff is the biggest turnoff for anybody when it comes to this discussion, right? Based on what's happened over the past couple of seasons.
Do either of you want them to go all in on some of the like high end options? Do you want to make a play at Trey Hendrickson, Odafe Owe, Jalen Phillips? You didn't get him at the trade deadline.
Odafe Owe.
Yeah.
Odafe Owe would be a fun one for me.
Yeah.
I think that would be again, he's still on the younger side of things. Obviously, he's just coming off a really good season with the Chargers. So obviously that price tag is going to be up there.
Yeah.
But once again, like it doesn't completely eliminate the need for you to go out and draft a guy if a guy is there. But like, I would feel really good about the future of the Lions pass rush with Odafe and Aiden kind of being your two key pass rushers.
Yeah. The all-in option at edge is always tantalizing. But to me, if there's a splash signing and kind of leaning towards there not going to be one, I think I would still prefer it on the offensive line to the defensive line.
Yeah, like if you're going to spend money, like would it be Linderbaum or would it be one of these defensive ends?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be Linderbaum, right? Yeah. Like, yeah, I think we can all kind of agree with that. When it comes to the other aspect of the defensive line, when you start talking about defensive tackle, I think we've all been fairly vocal that like, hey, keeping Roy Lopez would be a huge win for this team, and it should be a top priority. Do we think there needs to be any other additions, or do we think that like, hey, signing Lopez, getting Levi back, hopefully healthy this year, is enough to kind of carry you through the season? Obviously, maybe drafting a guy on day 3 or something like that as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're not the deepest at that position without Reeder, but I don't expect them to make a play for Reeder I think I'm okay with that. You know, maybe this bumps Mekhi Wingo up the depth chart and gives him an opportunity to get in there and get some playing time. But yeah, I think Aleem, Tyleek in year 2. I mean, both those players are hopefully better than they were last year, right? Because Aleem, year off the injury, Tyleek just because he's year 2, plus Levi, who gives you some edge, gives you some interior looks, and Roy Lopez. To me, that's a pretty decent 4 deep right there. Throw in maybe some upside with Mekhi Wingo, although I'm not banking on a ton there. I think that's fine.
Yeah, Ryan, I feel like the Lions have done a good job, at least, like, again, finding a guy that maybe isn't like a big name, but like finding a guy that's serviceable as far as like in a rotational role on that interior of the defensive line. You talk about Pat O'Connor, Benito Jones a couple years ago. Like, I think they've been pretty good at finding those depth guys to kind of help the defensive line along.
Yeah. Brad Holmes has done a pretty good job, and we've talked about it, like the ancillary stuff, the margin signings, for the most part, like getting those guys right and serviceable in a way that you can trust them at any time, I think, on a week-to-week basis. David Onyemata from the Atlanta Falcons, but formerly the New Orleans Saints, so maybe some ties there back to Dan Campbell early in his career. But, I mean, again, he's one of those like older guys that maybe you would get for a little bit less than DJ Reader. I'm kind of surprised at how like a lot of these websites are viewing DJ Reader in terms of his contract projections versus some of these other players. But like, I think for the most part, like Onyemata is viewed as somebody who would probably get less money than DJ Reader. So I think one of my favorite stats that I found out about him across 10 NFL seasons, Onyemata, like his PFF grade is dipped below 60 just twice. And last year, 21 pressures. So like not a lot of like sack juice, but like while his 74.2 run defense grade, like he ranked top 10 at the position. So like run defense, something as a pass rusher, maybe here or there. It sounds very familiar. Like it's a tale as old as time. It feels like with this defensive line. Maybe one other name, bring on old friend, Deshaun Hand. He's a free agent.
Bring a little pass rush juice.
Yeah, supposedly. And like at this point, PFF, like they love his best strength is his run is in the run game.
Oh,
he was a 73rd percentile PFF run defense grade, along with his 6.9% nice run stop rate.
That's odd. I'm looking at his stat line, PFF stat line, and his highest amount of pressures he's done in the season is 25 in his rookie season.
Oh man, so much promise. But I think we all kind of agree that like Roy Lopez like would be the best way to take care of the position, and I don't think you really have to do much else beyond that, right?
I agree.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, again, if they want to add to that group, I think a guy that I like, and it would honestly kind of be like killing two birds with one stone. Logan Hall from Tampa Bay is set to be a free agent this year, a guy that has some versatility. Can kick inside, can play outside a little bit for you. So again, maybe you're able to kind of subsidize your entire defensive line by getting a guy that could, play a number of different roles for you.
Yeah, young too. Just about to turn 26.
Okay, I think things get a little interesting when it gets to linebacker because there's a lot of guys that are ready to hit free agency. And I think there's only one guy that I think all of us are definitively like, yeah, we can it's time for the ship to kind of sail on this one. Is there anyone that you feel like the Lions need to come back when you start looking at their linebacker core where you're like, hey, this guy should be a top priority re-signing when free agency kind of kicks off?
I've been toying, I've been doing this free agency series on the website, and I did the mock offseason on Pride of Detroit Direct, and I started falling in love with the idea of just re-signing everyone but Anzalone and just seeing what happens. Like, not adding anybody, like just bumping everyone up on the depth chart a little bit, and you can have that conversation that Ryan alluded to, whether maybe we're not playing 3 linebacker base sets as much anymore, and we're just happy with Barnes and Campbell out there, or maybe Malcolm gets a shot, or maybe Grant Stewart gets a little bit more of a role, or maybe even Zach Cunningham if you decide to bring him back. I liked the Lions linebacking core last year a lot, and it didn't stay healthy all the time, but I like Malcolm Rodriguez when he's at his best, and he wasn't at his best last year, but again, a year away from the injury. Hopefully he looks better. I liked some of the things that Trevor Nowaski did at the SAM and what he was doing with, spying on Lamar Jackson. Grant Stewart's a good special team player, and the Lions like to have a lot of special team linebackers. And then Zach Cunningham, we only saw him for 3 or 4 games, but he made some big plays in early in the season when that defense was hot. So I don't know. Part of me just says like, hey, run it back, Anzalone. Maybe you can get us a comp pick, and we'll just run one less deep. And I know asking that linebacking room to perform in the same way without Anzalone as they did with Anzalone is asking a lot. We all remember like the stat lines in 2024 when the Lions defense collapsed towards the end of the season, and it was like directly correlated with Alex Anzalone not being in the lineup. But Jack Campbell's gotten better. I'd like to think that maybe Derek Barnes can play better next year, although I'm not that confident in that. And I like the depth of that room. The problem is the you're relying a lot on one starter that you trust and a lot of guys that maybe you don't in the starting role.
Ryan, I feel like this is the situation the Lions would like to be in when it comes to tackle, where like you could kind of do what Jeremy said, where like, hey, you're just going to re-sign everybody. You feel really good about Jack. You obviously paid Derek Barnes last year. Maybe you feel better about him sliding over to the Will spot than playing the Sam spot. And you could bring back enough guys to where like you're quote unquote set at linebacker, but you could go into the draft and it's like, hey, if a guy that we like is there, on day 2 or day 3, we can still add to that group and still like add competition to the linebacking core.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not a position that I think I want the Lions to spend a lot of resources on in free agency. Like, I don't think they have to. I think that they can get by with some of these signings that Jeremy's pointing out, right? Like more Malcolm Rodriguez, more Grant Stewart, Zach Cunningham. All of those are options. Trevor Nowaski's an option. Yeah, I like the linebacker group from last year was just good. Like it was good. Like it was dependable. Like there was maybe like a few glimpses here or there where it's like, oh man, got burned there. But like you could point to the defensive line, you could point to the secondary, and there are so many other examples of these are the big things that the Lions need to take care of, in my opinion. So unless Sonny Styles is there at 17, then go ahead and do it.
Yeah, again, this is another one of those groups too where like you start looking at the free agency class, there's some big names there, and some of these guys are going to get paid.
Oh yeah, Devin
like,
Lloyd's going to get
big
paid.
money.
Yep,
right.
Devin Lloyd,
the fact that like Jacksonville's letting him go is still kind of shocking to me. But
if your name is Devin and you play linebacker, you're going to get paid apparently.
So yeah, like I would be a little shocked if the Lions went out there and spent big at the linebacker spot. I think I would actually like to see a little bit more Zach Cunningham, because I feel like if I remember correctly, and Jeremy, you can kind of correct me if I'm wrong, last year during like early training camp, there was a lot of talk of like, hey, Zach Cunningham is looking really good out here at the Will spot. And this was like during the time when Alex Anzalone wasn't reporting.
Yep.
That would kind of be like probably plan B. If you don't think things are working out well with Derek Barnes at Will, like that's who I would expect to be taking those snaps next.
Yeah. And to be clear, like this isn't us sitting on our hands and being like, well, the defense was fine last year. It's just, if you're not willing to pay Alex Anzalone, you're not going to be willing to pay Devin Lloyd or Devin Bush or Nakobe Dean or Bobby Wagner or Caden Ellis, like these guys that are going to be getting monster contracts as well. And so you have to rely on youth at some point. You're going to have to rely on depth players to get up there and play at a starting level. And I think, yeah, sure, it would be great to just go out there and spend on Devin Lloyd and get a good young linebacker. Like that's the only appeal of these guys. That's the only reason why you would not sign Anzalone and maybe sign one of these other guys is youth. But that's also, you're talking, they have to be a scheme fit. You're also talking, where is this money coming from? Where are we taking money away from? It just seems to me, with the fact that you just spent a lot on Derek Barnes, you can say it was a bad move or not, but they did. He's costing them a lot of money. The fact that you spent a first-round pick on Jack Campbell and you're about to pay him a lot means you probably are going to have to take a little bit of a concession at that third starting role. And The good news is you have a bunch of guys that I think you can re-sign to relatively cheap deals that know the system, that have shown you some level of decent play and get by, because you're going to need that help elsewhere, I think.
Yeah. The next group that I think we should talk about is obviously like the secondary, right? And I think this is where I think if the Lions did decide to spend big at either center or edge or tackle, like this is probably the first group that's probably going to suffer the most, because I don't know where you find enough quality depth along your secondary, right, Jeremy?
I mean, the Lions are just in such a weird, precarious spot in their secondary that it's hard to know what they should do, because I don't know what's going to happen with Terrion Arnold. I don't know what's going on with Kirby Joseph. I don't know when Brian Branch is expected to be ready. And so with all of that uncertainty, the first thing that comes to mind is, boy, you better re-sign Amika Robertson. Like, you need that level of security. You need a guy that can play on the outside if you want, and a guy, are you trusting Ennis Rakestraw to be your starting nickel? Because if you are, you're putting a lot more trust in a player that I've never seen play football than I am. So to me, I think you have to run it back with Amika. And I know last year wasn't his best year, and I think there are a lot of reasons why that may or may not have happened, but I think he's a really good player. He's more than an insurance piece, because I think he's capable of being a starter. And just with the uncertainty everywhere, like him playing nickel will allow a nickel to play safety if the Lions are low on safety, and him being able to play on the outside helps in case Terrion gets in trouble. So that's kind of where the conversation starts with me, is I think Amik Robertson is a piece that helps everyone and everywhere in that secondary in a way that they just need some assurance right now.
Oh, how the turns have tabled. Because I feel like it was a couple weeks ago we were talking about like, we think the Lions could be okay with letting Amik go, and now it's like, actually, like, no, you probably need to put him higher up on the list. Ryan, anybody else that you feel like the Lions should prioritize when it comes down to the secondary?
Yeah, it's just that weird spot that they're in at safety primarily. And what are you going to do when Brian Branch comes back? Like, is the ideal version of the Lions defense with him at nickel, or is it at safety? I think we can agree it's at safety, but like, what if the Lions want to play that game? What if they want to get a guy who's a safety, or they really like the way that they've gotten some play from in-house guys, right? Like, I think one of the biggest kind of under the radar developments of 2025 was like Thomas Harper was a sneaky good signing by the Lions after the Raiders moved on from him. And he's a guy who I could see them trusting to play quite a bit for them while they are in this weird spot. But like, it doesn't change the fact that I think they need a veteran back there too. I think they could use a veteran. So like, that's when you start talking about Maddox, you start talking about Rock Yassin, how they view those guys. It feels stopgappy, but at the same time, they have more information than us. So if they take a safety at 17, or maybe they move back and take a safety, or they draft a cornerback, that's pretty telling for how they view the room. You know, the cornerback spot is almost just arguably as precarious as the safety position, which sounds insane to say, but what's going on with Terrion Arnold legally? Also, just as a player and in his development, right? Yep. And there's Ennis Rakestraw, who's a complete unknown, and DJ Reed, promising first half to the season last year, but after the hamstring injury, clearly looked like not the guy that he was the first few weeks of the season. So I think anything's on the table. And like, I don't think anything would be shocking to me in terms of how they decide to approach free agency or the draft when it comes to the secondary as a whole. I feel like this is Groundhog Day though, Miko. Like, I'm Bill Murray. I'm waking up and it's free agency, and it's time for Brad Holmes to completely overhaul the secondary, because I'm not sure if there's anything I completely love with it as we stand here today.
Yeah, and this is where like I feel like I've always kind of felt like the approach to addressing the secondary in the draft should always have been on the table, right? Like, just because it, in the same way that like you hear coaches and GMs talk about like, oh, you should draft a pass rusher every year or whatever the case may be. Like, I feel the same way about corners. Like, I think you should draft one probably every year, just because they get hurt a lot, and it's never a bad idea to have like a surplus of those guys. With that said, I'm still going to continue to beat the drum that you absolutely should try to do everything you can to get Amik Robertson back. I think if you can also get Rocky Sin back, that's a huge get for your secondary as far as depth wise. And yeah, like see where Avante Maddox is in terms of like obviously he's a little bit up there in age, but like is he still good to go for another season? Safety and corner though would definitely be on the table when it comes draft time. Like if the right one is there and on day two, awesome. If you're somehow able to get a third round pick, whether it's a compensatory pick, whether it's trading for one, I think that's another position. Like again, whether it's safety or corner, I would love the Lions to honestly prioritize someone that can do both. In the same way that Amik can kind of play, inside and outside, find you someone that can potentially play nickel and safety, just to help round out your secondary. And then obviously, Jeremy, there's the question about Dan Jackson. I know for me, I still exclusively look at him as like special teams depth, which is still, again, a role to have.
Yep.
But like that's why I still think safety needs to be addressed in the draft, and like I can't just count on him to be one of your key reserves.
No, not at all. I mean, at safety, am I excited about Avante Maddox, Thomas Harper potentially starting in week 1? No, but it's not the worst case scenario, right? It's not. There are spots on the roster where I feel like the depth is a little bit worse. Corner is really the one where I'm a little bit more worried if, Terrion's not back, if Terrion's dealing with something, if Amik's not back. DJ Reed and Ennis, DJ Reed and Rocky Sin, it feels a little rockier to me. I would like a little bit more stable ground there. But like I feel like this year's free agency is just a bunch of like names that aren't who they used to be, right? Like
I was gonna say it's a bunch of like ghosts of Christmas past, right?
Yeah.
Like oh, I remember when he used to be really impactful.
Right, Trayvon Diggs, Darius Slay, Marshawn Lattimore. Like, I mean, those guys had their moments, but like Nashawn Wright is maybe the closest thing to someone where I'd be like, okay, maybe. Bears corner who was outstanding in run defense last year, had 5 interceptions, but like his coverage grade actually was generally was not good. Gave up, I think, 9 touchdowns and 8 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 7 pass breakups. But run defender and tall, something that the Lions don't have at their outside corner position. He's 6'4". PFF says 2 years, $14 million total it would cost to get him, which might be out of the Lions' price range. But I don't know. The problem I ran into when I was doing my mock offseason is I almost did nothing on defense, and I'm just like, that doesn't seem right. There needs to be
Something
an infusion of talent. You can't just run it back. And part of me is also like, well, if they did run it back, hopefully they'd incur some better health. Hopefully a guy like Aleem McNeil would play better. Hopefully some of their young players.
Takes a jump.
Tyleik Williams takes a jump. If Terrion is there, hopefully he takes a jump. But I also know you're losing Alex Anzalone probably. You're probably going to start the season without Brian Branch, who knows what's happening with Kirby Joseph. Like, you have to add someone here. And it probably needs to be more than one player that's going to contribute significantly. And so I don't know where that is. That's kind of going back to the problem at the beginning of the show. Is just there's a lot of holes to fill here. And I don't know if that free agency has a ton of answers for him.
I was gonna say, because I feel like in that regard, specifically looking more so at safety, because I think at corner, like we can obviously wonder what's gonna happen with Terrion, but the way things currently stand, like Terrion would be out there week 1, and you would think like, okay, him and DJ Reed, you're solid. Things get really murky for me, Ryan, at the safety spot, because whether it's drafting or signing one in free agency, like, are you just going to sign someone that can just be like a spot starter for that time? Are you maybe looking further into the future of like, hey, can we find a long-term replacement for Kirby Joseph if this knee turns out to be as bad as it's been speculated to be? Or like, I that's where I have like a lot of question marks in terms of like what they do there.
Yeah, I think it all comes back to how confident they feel in Brian Branch being a guy. Because if they feel confident in his rehab and him getting right and back on the field, whatever that may be, I think that the approach to the offseason doesn't change for the other safety spot because I think we get the sense that this is going to be a forever thing with Kirby Joseph. So if this is a forever thing with Kirby Joseph, it does kind of align itself to the Taylor Decker situation in a way, right? Where even if Taylor Decker was going to be back, it would make sense to have somebody who would be capable of starting any given week, right? And I think they have a guy in Thomas Harper, but I think it would also make sense to have another veteran too, because at the beginning of the season, you're going to need someone for Brian. So that's the spot that they're in there at safety, where I think you have to have two guys beyond Kirby and beyond Branch that you can trust to start both at the beginning of the season and at any time weeks,
Avonte
4
Maddox.
through
That's
18.
That's why Avonte Maddox feels like a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, and that's why, but that's why it feels like, again, much like running back, like take care of that in free agency. Like get your guy, either bring him back in Avonte Maddox or sign the guy that you really like in free. I brought up like Rayshawn Jenkins from the Cleveland Browns. I think he'd be an interesting player to add to the mix, but I think the whole secondary talk, though, it matters a lot what they do up front on defense, right? Like we talked about this when we talked about the Max Crosby situation prior to him getting traded. But if you get a guy that you feel like you can generate a lot of pressure up front, and you have those linebackers, like Jack Campbell took a step as a blitzer last season. You like some of the stuff like you said that you saw out of Trevor Nowaski if they bring him back at the Sam, or maybe you can get some of that stuff going with Derek Barnes. Like if you can generate that pressure up front, it puts less stress on your back end. And maybe that's the goal of the Lions offense, or that's the goal of the Lions defense this offseason, is let's figure out a way to make things less difficult for the guys that we're already putting on an island because we're playing so much man coverage, we're playing so much press. Let's take a little off their plate with solving the problem up front in front of them.
That's where I would feel better, Jeremy.
All in for Trey Hendrickson. That's what I heard.
Sure, why not? I'm here for a good time, not a long time. It's not my money.
I mean, but I think like that's where I feel like as long as they're adding talent there, like I genuinely think it's more of a philosophy change than I think that it is going to necessarily be like it needs to be a splash signing in terms of edge. Like if you can get a guy that has decent sack production over like the course of his career in free agency, awesome. Cam Jordan would obviously fit that bill, and obviously it still gives you that freedom to go out there and draft a guy. But at the end of the day, I also think the Lions just need to change how they look at not creating pressure, because they obviously statistically did a good job of that in creating pressure, but how quickly it gets there and how well they are at finishing and getting quarterbacks on the ground. Like those two things have to change. And I don't know if it's just as simple as like, oh, well, we're going to pay this player X amount of dollars and that all of a sudden is going to get fixed.
Yeah. I mean, you said it at the beginning, man. Offensive tackle and edge feels like both those things are going to be big needs in the draft, regardless of what they do here in free agency, because I don't think either of us really expect them to make a splash at either of those positions, at least like not a long-term splash, right? Those are positions without long-term solutions right now, and almost certainly without long-term solutions after free agency as well.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Any other positions that you guys want to talk about? We didn't talk about special teams at all. Like
ERFA to Jake Bates, we're good.
All right. Well, with that said, guys, that's pretty much going to do it for this week's episode of the Pride of Detroit PODcast. If you are looking for any more additional news, or if you want to stay locked in once free agency kicks off, you can obviously do that over at the Pride of Detroit website. All you got to do is go over to prideofdetroit.com. I'm sure there's going to be a free agency tracker over there. I think an article just went up today that also has like a rumor tracker as well. So you can literally stay plugged into every bit of free agency news as it's kind of happening over there on the website. Also, if you are enjoying the podcast, we greatly appreciate you guys leaving a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We didn't have any new reviews today, so we won't be reading any, but we obviously would definitely encourage you to leave those whenever you have an opportunity to do so. And if you're more on the video side of things, you can always head over to twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit or youtube.com/Pride of Detroit to watch the live stream, and that'll actually give you a sneak peek into some of the things that we talk about during our breaks. And yeah, kind of just enjoy the show in its entirety. But with all of that said, I'm Miko. He's Jeremy. He's Ryan. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Nice. All right. Got
See,
a couple.
who said we couldn't be efficient?
Yeah, that felt like a relatively quick segment.
Agreed.
I don't know how fast. LJ, thank you for the 70 months. Says that's a lot of months. 70 is a lot of months, indeed. Phenoms, 26 months subscribed on Twitch, says old Jameer Gibbs number months old. The old, yes. Let's all relax on the first day of free agency and not overreact if Brad doesn't spend big immediately. Good luck with that.
No one agrees.
Good luck with that.
I'm gonna be turning off my Twitter notifications that day. I might uninstall the app for like the first 24 hours of free agency. I'm gonna rely on Slack.
I've been around these parts long enough to know that if the Lions only announce re-signings or if like one is just like, here's a random running back, people are gonna lose their minds. I mean, just like every time a top name comes off the board is just like someone on Twitter is saying Brad isn't serious about winning a Super Bowl.
Unserious. I think I'm gonna mute that word. Unserious.
That's you're no amount of filtering is going to work.
I think it'd be a big
agency.
swath. Big swath of people who use the word unserious. Those are the people that probably
I was gonna say,
know the most.
Maybe just mute Brad Holmes for like the first week of free agency.
It's not a bad idea. Tiny.
You know what the alternative is?
Mm-hmm.
The alternative is the 2019 offseason.
Where they signed everyone.
Trey Flowers is coming. Justin Coleman. What?
Jesse James, baby.
Jesse James. And it's like, oh man, they're gonna be so good. Look at all the players they got.
That's forever going to be the counterexample of spending in free agency here in Detroit.
Yeah, probably.
It's such a good example of it, though.
Oh, Drew Falcon says Ryan is unserious about McNuggets.
It's not true. He's very serious about them. I actually taste tested. Nope, we're not talking about food. There's alerts. I'm not taking the bait. I'm not taking the bait right now.
There's only one more. Tiny Bob, thank you for the 8 months. That's FTB, FTP, FTV. Let's go Loins.
I mean, that was a very important message that you needed to get to before we talked about any of this McNugget nonsense.
You're not even talking about the McNuggets. You're talking about the sauce.
I was let down, man. I was let down.
I'm sorry.
It's not your fault, Miko. It isn't. It's mine. Because what did I say during this entire process? Like, I wasn't going to let McDonald's, like, ruin my hot honey experience. It's not that it's bad. It's just that, like, I was eating it and I was like, I'd probably rather be dipping these in the actual honey. Because that has just been on my mind lately.
How much does it taste like the actual honey?
Like, it has the same consistency, and like the honey is all there, but I'm not saying that it's spicy, but I feel like it tastes like it wants to be spicy, obviously. So like you don't get the sweetness of the honey. It's just kind of like
the spices,
you get the texture of the honey. You know what I mean? You don't get the flavor of the honey as much.
I just assumed it was.
I would agree with that.
The taste of the honey just with a little tingle.
Yeah, it was just
not that.
Like, it was just trying to be spicy. And I feel like McDonald's does this though. Like when they did their spicy McCrispies or their spicy snack wraps.
Yeah.
What are you smiling about?
Like
nothing. I don't eat McDonald's anymore. Like I don't mess.
Okay.
No, wait. Whoa. I don't eat McDonald's except for breakfast. I still eat McDonald's breakfast.
McDonald's CEO
but like,
over here.
I just think like I want to talk about that because I have a take about that too, which is even if he didn't take a big bite or whatever, like he still accomplished what he wanted to accomplish because everyone talked about it.
Everyone talked about it, yeah.
Now I know that there's something called the Big Arch, which I didn't know existed before that happened.
But like the Wendy's like reply to that video is hilarious. Because at one point in time he's like, "Oh, I need to get a Frosty to go with this." I hope our ice cream machines work. Oh wait, no, this is always working.
That was pretty good. No, I don't know. When McDonald's is like, "Hey, we have a hot sauce," I'm like, "Good for you guys. I have hot sauces that I like already." You're acting like you're reinventing the wheel. Congratulations, hot sauce.
It's a weird thing, like of like how bad they missed, because they came out with their spicy chicken sandwich, or like any of like whether it's hot honey or spice or anything like that. Like I don't know if, like, to Ryan's point, like I don't know what they're trying to prove of like, no, we know how to make real spice. And it's just like, hey, I didn't want that though. Like I wanted something savory or delicious. Like why are you trying to like compete with Dave's hot chicken
Right.
with your spicy chicken sandwich? Like no one asked for this.
Plus, like, let's be honest. Any big chain fast food restaurant that claims like we have a spicy sauce, that ain't spicy. That's public spicy.
But that's my point though. Like when I go to, when McDonald's says like, hey, I have a spicy chicken sandwich, I'm thinking like, cool, it's gonna be a little bit of kick with some good flavor. When I get it and it's like, oh no, like this is hot and it doesn't taste great, like
why am I eating this?
What were y'all trying to prove? Yeah, like what were you trying to prove? Who were you trying to win over with this?
I truly don't think that there will ever be another moment in time for me eating fast food as there was trying to find the Popeyes spicy chicken sandwich. Like, because it was just like sold out almost everywhere.
Time.
And but like once I finally got it, I was like, I understand why this took so long. This is incredible.
Legitimately good.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the imitators, right? And that's your point, Miko. It's like, well, ours is going to actually be spicy. It's like, well, we don't really want that. Like, we don't want it to be. I don't want that.
Yeah, like have you tried Popeyes? Like it's delicious. It's actually it's why, again, for me personally, it's why Chick-fil-A's and Popeyes spicy chicken sandwiches like sit atop the fast food spicy chicken game, because it's not just spicy, like they're actually flavorful.
Why are you sharing more Dairy Queen stuff with us?
All right, two reasons. Because it's tangentially related, because they have this flamethrower chicken strip basket. It comes with soft serve dipping sauce, and it's not sauce. They're giving you ice cream to dip your chicken tenders into.
Yeah.
So it's not gravy either.
So, I mean, you get a side of gravy.
But the fact that it's like the audacity though for them to call it sauce though.
I know. Why are you calling it sauce? I was so confused. And the reason why, I was so confused. Last night I took we had someone special dance for my daughters. So like got ice cream at the end of it, because that's always a strategic way to like get out of the dance. Like we're getting to the end. You know, there's 10 minutes left. Let's beat all the traffic and everybody trying to get all their coats and stuff. Hey, you want ice cream? Yes. Okay, we're out of there. We're at Dairy Queen, and I'm like, do I want to get anything? And I'm like scanning the board, and I see that. I'm like, it looks like ice cream, but they're calling it sauce. And I'm like, but I'm not asking that question to the person who's working the register. I'm not going to inquire about it, because like I don't need to inquire about it. I'm like, I'm not getting it, but like I'm so curious. So I wanted your guys' take on it.
Listen, if you're gonna be a big back, like just embrace it fully. All right, it's chicken strips with a cup of ice cream. Like that's what we're giving you.
Yeah. Like don't call it sauce. Like are you dipping your flamethrower chicken tender, Jeremy, in that? Ice cream?
I mean, probably, yeah. I'm trying it for sure.
Like trying it, right? But like you think it's something that you're gonna be like, I gotta have my chicken tenders this way from now on.
No. Also, I don't know why, but I kind of have a problem with spicy things that are just like in the spices in the breading and not in the sauce. Like I want the hot to come from a sauce, not from seasoning.
Okay.
Which is I don't know where that comes from, but it's just how I feel.
I agree with you. I also love, like, if I'm gonna eat Buffalo Wild Wings, the desert heat, like the dry rub seasoning.
Yeah,
I like that.
I've never had that.
Okay,
but this I don't know. This is like fries and Frosty, which is like I dig that. Like that tastes fine. I just don't. I don't know about this.
The fact that they're inviting you though to dip it, because like, that's exactly what they're doing. They're like, hey,
Yeah.
you should try this.
Oh yeah. They're like, oh, it's hot. Like they're served warm, crispy. Each bite packs a serious punch of heat. That's why we're giving you some ice cream.
I really like that this page like it lets you toggle between 4 and 6, and the only thing that changes is the calories. And like in the second paragraph, it says we start with 4. No, we start with 6.
I just noticed that.
Like
Nothing else about it changed.
That poor graphic designer. Like when they told them like, hey, we need 2 different toggles. It's like, why can't we just do this on one page? Why can't we just say?
I'm not gonna show you guys. I'm just curious how much this runs.
It's pretty affordable. Like I want to say it was like at my Dairy Queen, they're advertising it the 4-piece for $6.99.
I was gonna say, isn't it like $6 or $7?
That is pretty good, with the Texas toast too.
The Texas toast at DQ, guys.
You've eaten at DQ more
I
than
don't have to defend DQ.
Yeah, I think you might, because I've maybe been to Dairy Queen to eat anything other than ice cream once.
Really? Dude,
I don't know.
I grew
if I've
up near
ever
a
been to
grill
Dairy
and chill.
Queen to eat. I don't think I've ever eaten like actual food at Dairy Queen.
Guys gotta get the gravy. You gotta get the gravy.
I'm definitely not doing that. Jollibee's is the only place I would. Jollibee's and KFC are the only places I'm trusting their gravy.
I think it's a good point by Big Aries too. Like, make the sauce spicy because then you can choose how much heat you want by like dunking it in the sauce, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean,
Little bit.
I don't know. I'm a big. It's no mystery. I like my food seasoned. So if you're going to season my chicken, you're going to say that it's going to be spicy. I want the chicken
The
seasoned.
chicken to be spicy.
Because honestly,
Yeah.
I would prefer. Yeah, because I would honestly prefer to dunk my chicken then into something that's maybe not spicy. So like that whole thing.
What I've been doing lately is in like I don't want to make dinner, I'm just gonna make something quick, is I get like these lightly breaded air fryer chicken tenders, fry them up, and then I have like gochujang paste, mix it with like a little rice wine vinegar, a little bit of Greek yogurt,
Mm-hmm.
make a little kind of spicy sauce there. Just flip them in there a little bit. It's a very easy, quick, delicious meal.
Okay.
I've been meaning to try like the whole Greek yogurt as a base for sauces. I've been extremely
kinda
hesitant
works.
to do it.
I'm like full on cult Greek yogurt member right now. Been trying to convert Ryan a little bit.
I like it. My wife hates the smell of it, but like Greek yogurt is a great base to like have an adventure with stuff.
Have an adventure.
You can add Jello packets to it, or like cheesecake packets to it. You can add honey. You can add granola.
It is versatile.
Yeah,
I tried the cottage cheese thing for a while, and I just couldn't do it. I know what I went too far into, like the weird cottage cheese land, when I'm like, I saw people making pizza, like pizza dough out of cottage cheese and shit, and I'm just like, no,
Jump the shark.
no. I tried it, and it's just like, you
There's a
dumb
guy on
Instagram
social media.
influencers are lying to me.
yeah. There's a guy on social media that I follow that is fighting the good fight against cottage cheese.
I know
being used for
exactly
things
who
that
you're
they
talking about. It's the
Liam?
yes, Liam. Yes, yeah. K-bye guy.
Yeah, dude is hilarious.
Yeah,
but he
I
is
like
fighting
him a
the
lot.
good fight against cottage cheese.
Yes, he is. What's his handle? We should shout him out.
There's I have to share this with you guys because this has been like this has been in my head a bunch. I've been thinking about this guy a lot. But this Daisy cottage
Can I
cheese
play this or
commercial,
no?
I don't know. We'll probably get demonetized if you do, but like he's
Watch it
making a
afterwards.
smoothie. They're showing how versatile
no.
cottage cheese is. So they're showing it like, oh, you put it in your eggs while you're making your eggs. You do it with this, you do it with that. We get to the end, and he's putting it in smoothies for his family.
Mm-mm.
But as he's doing it, he grabs a big old spoonful. And he's like, some more cottage cheese, and like just eats it. But he's like, his family's like in like a pillow and blanket fort tent. Like they're all wrestling and having a good time. He's like, you rascals! Like, here's another spoonful of cottage cheese. And I'm like, dude, that's too much dairy. Like, don't do that.
Bruh.
I don't dislike cottage cheese, but I feel like I don't like it in the way that anyone uses it. Like the whole like mixing cottage cheese and fruit. I don't get that
what the
pairing
hell
at
is
all.
that?
I don't know what that is. Are you into it?
Yeah, I like
Really?
peaches and cottage cheese. Yeah, it's good.
What does that even possibly taste like?
I mean, it is like the sweet and salty thing, right? Like it's that whole thing that's going on.
So I have a hard time like eating foods that just like don't look visually appealing to me, and that's what it is with cottage cheese. Like
Yeah.
the lumpiness of it, where it's just like I can't.
You don't like the big curds?
No,
Like if you were to eat it, what would it have to be, like the small curd?
it would have to be smooth. It would have to look like sour cream.
I
See-
like sour cream.
Like I'd have to get it mixed up with like you would have to like open like not show me the label. If you popped open the lid and it was smooth and I was like, oh, sour cream. That's the only way.
It's the
If I
only way.
see lumps, I'm gonna be like, hell no, something ain't
The-
right.
best-
Something's not right with this.
The best way to use it as a base for like a cheese sauce. Like you blend it up, you throw some like
Sure.
nutritional yeast or whatever into it. If you want to go like super healthy, weird, non-dairy, I guess cottage cheese is dairy, so I don't know.
Daisy cottage cheese will do.
What's Daisy cottage cheese?
That commercial that I just sent you.
Oh,
Is it lactose free?
I don't think so.
The jingle. It's like only Daisy cottage
Ah.
cheese will do. But like that's been stuck in my head, and that guy just being like, "Here's a whole spoonful of cottage cheese, my family." Oh man. Like I'm
It's
gonna
one of
go
the
inside
best
that.
things
I'm gonna
about-
go inside that fort and have the bubbly guts with the rest of my family.
Hold on.
It's one of the best things about being lactose intolerant. It's like I could just like when people are like, "Hey, have you tried?" Nah, man, can't do
No.
it.
What, Jeremy?
Contrapaston says, I used to do peaches with the pasta plus meat sauce back in grade school.
Come again?
Hey, man, how do you report somebody?
So, okay, are you saying like you have one of those like cups of peaches and you like combine that with a spaghetti and meat sauce all into one? Because I'm concerned.
Feels like big time slop.
It sounds like an offense against humanity. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm not gonna yuck anyone's yum though.
Shot the hell I will. You need to stop doing that. That's how we've gotten to where we are as a society. We stop shaming people for abominations.
Yep, diced canned peaches were a side. I mean, I understand both those things individually. And I understand they're all going into the same place anyways. But they can go at different times.
I sometimes want like, this is what it must be like for people who like genuinely like texture doesn't bother them. Like I'm not a huge, well no, I guess like no texture does bother me, but like I'm assuming that this is what it must be like to like when you can just like put anything like any combination of foods into your mouth at the same time and be like, oh no, this tastes fine. Like
Sweet and savory. To me, it's like it's the version. It's the debate between eating to live and living to eat. Like if you're just shoving everything all in at once, you're just eating to live. You just need sustenance, and you don't care what's going in.
You are one of the hive mind from Pluribus.
That's right.
Like, you just need sustenance.
All right. kind of feel like we've run out of juice here. It's time
Have
to
we?
get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Scheduling's going to be weird coming up. I don't think I've told you guys. I'm going to be on vacation starting Saturday.
Wow. Sweet deal.
Wow.
But I
Weekend
feel
of
like
free agency and the dude's taking time off.
I
Must
feel
be
like
nice.
we should probably buckle down for an emergency pod or two.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting to like. Yeah, we can talk about that because obviously we have content that needs to go up on the site, and then
Yeah.
whatever I don't know, whatever we can't cover emergency pod wise.
You and Morgan will get.
Morgan and I have already talked about doing like emergency YouTube videos for.
Cool.
So we may
Yeah. Okay. That works. Eric and I have agreed to do a midweek mailbag on Friday. Very much not midweek, but I think we were both like, hey, maybe we should wait until after the first wave of free agency is done. So we'll record that Friday, upload Saturday, I guess.
I gotta draw attention to
good.
this before we get out of here. Big Airy says that he enjoys peanuts and jelly beans. This is a big texture file for me. Like, there's no way. No. The hell is that, man?
None of that works in my mind. Texture, flavor. is
Flavor,
weird.
I could see. The texture is what it's going to like. Peanuts get all like just ground up, and then jelly beans are all just
Like mashed
Yeah.
up versus like the
Yeah.
crunchiness
I
of
read
the
that.
peanut.
I also read that as peanut butter and jelly beans, and I don't know if that's better or worse. It's kind of funny, peanut butter and jelly beans.
peanut butter and jelly beans would be better than peanuts and jelly beans. For sure.
I'm so hungry right now. I would eat it. I'm so hungry I would eat it.
I got one more thing, since we're talking about weird food combinations, and then we can get out of here.
Yeah.
Have you guys? I think it was it Jeff Daniels
Yes.
talking to Stephen
Yes.
Colbert about his favorite sandwich?
Mm-hmm. Pita bread. He said a 1/4 inch thick of peanut butter, which
Right.
a 1/4 of an inch of peanut butter is some thick layering.
Yes.
Jeremy, what's the next one though?
Crushed Ruffles cheddar and sour cream chips
Okay.
and barbecue sauce, specifically
Your fa-
Sweet Baby Ray's.
Well, he said your favorite barbecue sauce,
Yes.
but yeah. I watched a guy take a bite and he was like, "It shouldn't work, but it does."
No
The
shot.
hell it does.
No shot.
No. First of all, that much peanut butter, like if you're putting that much layer of peanut butter on a sandwich, you need to be investigated. Like you're doing some shady stuff behind closed doors. Nobody should be eating that much peanut butter on one sandwich. But you had me with the chips, barbecue sauce.
Mm-mm.
Who's raising these people?
I'll go do it right now. I'll go do it right now. I'll go buy all the things in the store right now and do it.
I know
That
you will.
hungry. I'm that hungry. the Euro from Jimmy John's, by the way. It was good.
Okay.
It was good. It was too small. Like price wise. It was like $10.49. And like it's just on like a euro. So like the bread's not very big.
I feel like that's honestly, if Jeff Daniels swears by it, and a lot of people, I mean, a billion social media influencers have tried it now, I'm sure, and they all say it's okay. I feel like that's not hardcore enough for a Movember challenge.
I'll try the Matthew McConaughey sandwich. That one sounds like a good
What's
sandwich.
the Matthew McConaughey sandwich?
I think it's like a tuna fish sandwich or something like that. But like how he makes it is like there's a lot going on with that sandwich.
I feel like I've heard about this, but I don't remember it. Anyways, I was just curious if you guys had heard about it and were as disgusted by it as much as I was.
I am now.
Yeah. Mission accomplished.
All right, y'all. Yeah, just what I said. We'll have some emergency pods probably throughout the week here coming up. Midweek mailbag at the end of the week on Friday. And then, I don't know, maybe you guys will record a podcast wrapping it all up in week 1. Probably won't be live. If you want. You don't have to. If we're doing emergency pods, maybe we don't even need to.
No, we might do like a YouTube video or something just to wrap up the week.
Yeah. All right.
If there's a good amount of movement.
Sounds good. All right. Well, then we'll see everyone on the other side of free agency, I suppose. Don't freak out. See you guys later. Bye.